operators are busy at this time.
It's the final day for the Six Masters playoffs. Only 2 matches remain. The lower bracket final and then, of course, the grand final. Welcome, everybody. My name is Xenox. Joining me, at least for the first half of the show today, will be Raven, as we will be, of course, covering the lower bracket final.
We will, and boy, is that going to be a great matchup. Given the way that the Knights played last night against Sinister, it's really going to be spicy to find out who makes it into that grand final against Wildcard.
Knights so far have really just been following their own script so far here in the playoffs. Of course, the socials down below to keep up to date with all the brackets and how everything is transpiring so far throughout the Six Masters playoffs. But Raven, the Knights, we didn't think they were even going to make the playoffs, and yet now there is an opportunity for them to make the grand final.
Definitely becoming a bit of a Cinderella story. As you said, we didn't think that they might make playoffs, but they scraped through in 4th place, and they've actually put together a really great performance against Sinister last night. That's got them here, and they really do have a shot to make it through to the end.
Yeah, of course, if you missed all of the action yesterday between Okami, Wildcard, and Sinister Pittsburgh Knights, we've got a special highlight package that we're going to play for you now.
It's time for day 2 of the Six Masters Finals. Now, yesterday, Dev, we saw 2 cracking matchups, really action-packed moments, and some probably unexpected results there as well.
There's so much on the line here.
Okami taking on Wildcard in the upper bracket. This one should be an absolute banger.
Ethan's still below with a C4. He's going to whip that up. He can find 2 kills. That's Cutie and Joker gone.
That's a nice aggression, though. Gio will vault into the window in response. Can't find that pick. He's left in a 3-on-1. Hits the flick. Mangoes, though, could get him with the super shorty. Pre-fires the angle and finds the kill.
Wildcard does refrag both of them out.
Ethan's going to get aggressive now. How many can he find? That's one on rafters. He's triple for the round. They're both there.
Wildcard is just winning this utility game right now.
He can dunk him. He doesn't quite know where it is, but the pings are out. He knows exactly where it is, and he rounds the corner. And Wildcard will win the series 2-0.
And they head straight on through to the grand finals, while Okami have to dwindle in the lower brackets.
On the other side, it's the elimination final. Sinister taking on the Knights. No more second chances. If you lose this match, you will end up in 4th place.
And here they all come out, and all of a sudden,
Vinny could be taken out if he's not careful, but he gets that player in con. Surely they can get him. Vinny, though, beautifully done. He's on a quad. It's falling apart here for Sinister. Josh popping off. Dino forced to stick the plant. Derpe can run around the corner, hits the 360 knife, and Team Sinister will close out Clubhouse. How many can he find? He actually manages to find 2 headshots. Vinny just misses that trade as Miley gets 1, but then Vinny finds 3.
this is looking great for the Knights at this stage. He sees it and hits a beautiful shot onto Juicy.
Hayward, don't let it slip. Don't let it slip. No, he sticks it. Can't get any closer than that. Oh, it was like 0.0.
Literal milliseconds.
There's one to his hard right. He doesn't see the player and the Knights. They will win the series in a 2-1 fashion. What a performance. They will be taking on Okami.
I'm just so excited for that lower final. It's been made incredibly interesting by the way the Knights played tonight.
I'll have to agree with past Raven. The lower bracket final certainly is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Knights, as I've said, Raven have this sort of fairy tale season about them here into the playoffs. Unfortunately, though, for the likes of Sinister, their season kind of came down in flames.
It really did. They went into the playoffs as the 2nd seed. They'd had such a good season, but they never got anything really happening in the playoffs here. They did get that first map against the Knights in that series last night, but then it just fell by the wayside, and that's how we've ended up here.
Yeah, look, it's disappointing for Sinister. They had a really good regular season. That's something that they are going to have to probably just sort of, I guess, remember at the end of the day, right? Okay, we had a good regular season. Playoffs didn't go our way. Unfortunately, they missed out on top 3. We've got the schedule ready for you as well today, of course. We've got the upper bracket, lower bracket, down into the lower bracket. First up will, of course, be Pittsburgh Knights and Okami. Then the upper bracket technically will be the final, the wild card, facing the winner of this matchup between Pittsburgh and Okami. Right now, I really, Raven, cannot tell you who's going to be playing wild card when we consider the way that Pittsburgh played yesterday. Okami, probably slightly favored coming into this series, though.
I agree with you there. Okami will be slightly favored, but you know what? They have also struggled a little bit. They didn't do super great against Wildcard. And on the other hand, Pittsburgh played Wildcard in that first round. They took Wildcard to overtime on a map. So we know that Pittsburgh can actually go toe-to-toe with Wildcard. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to do the same with Okami.
And it's the first time that we are going to be seeing Okami and Pittsburgh playing here in the playoffs. We're going to have a look at the lineup for the Pittsburgh Knights. The team just will not give up no matter what, coached by Picnic. They have, as I said, a free shot at this. This entire playoffs has been a free shot attempt, and so far they've made it work. They've made it stick. It's a top 3 finish at minimum for them.
Yeah, and it's theirs for the taking. I think a lot of the pressure going into this matchup is going to be on Okami, and this Pittsburgh Knights roster has risen to the occasion time and time again. That's how they've made it here. And one thing Guz and I were saying on broadcast last night is there's no massive standout player for the Knights, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's that they are stepping up as a team, and they're putting together team efforts, and that's really what's bringing them through this far in the playoffs.
Yeah, they play like a team, and the team that plays well typically does well, right? And for the Knights, I think they have benefited the most from the 2-3 week break between the regular season and now the playoffs. So they've come back recharged, ready to go. New game plan. They are definitely a different looking Knights to what we saw in the regular season.
Yeah, they're a bit flip-flop in the regular season, but they had some good wins. They managed to obviously get into that position to make 4th place in the end. But it feels like they have stepped it up here. They'd struggled a little bit against Wildcard only on the second map. That first map, like I said, was actually an overtime. And then with Sinister, that was just a real good flex of their longevity and actually getting through a full best-of-3 series. So they really do have the caliber to be able to make it to this grand final.
Do they have the caliber, though, to go even one step further and potentially knock off a wild card? Because really, I think we'll probably repeat it a few times today. Pittsburgh and Okami, either one can win this series, either one can go and take on Wildcard, but can either one then go and beat Wildcard? Right now, I'm just sort of taking us all the way back to the beginning of the playoffs. Many thought Sinister would be that team that could potentially challenge Wildcard. They're not even here anymore.
Yeah, that's a great point. And look, who knows? Wildcard, sometimes they can be a little bit wishy-washy. They blamed a slow start against the Knights when they had that overtime map. And I know that they tweeted out last night that they want to be ready to go right from the first round. They're definitely going to be a tough opponent for either of these guys, whoever makes it through to the grand final.
Of course, the other team, Okami, we'll have a look at their roster coming into this lower bracket final. They are typically led literally by Ippy and his entry frags, but as a whole, they have improved as a team coming into this, and now favorites for second place. At the very beginning of this Six Master season, they would have taken that with no doubt.
Yeah, for a long time, Ippy really was the standout player on Okami. People saw him for his high frag count, his explosive entries, and even his roaming. But throughout Six Masters, we've seen a lot of this team step up. In particular, I'd like to highlight Cutie. I think he's had a fantastic Six Masters season, really getting some big impact kills, clutches, and just some high frag count maps of his own. And that's really helped balance out Okami to have bigger performances. And that's how they've managed to make it to this spot in the playoffs.
I think Joker as well, one to really highlight the way that he's been performing so far in the playoffs as well. And it's just now very much a well-rounded team. You can rely on Ippy for entry frags, but you can't rely on him to do everything. At various points, at probably the more earlier variations of the season, it seemed like he was sort of relied upon more than he should have been as just a single player. Now, definitely, they are a solidified unit of a team. They're going to be hard to beat for the Pittsburgh Knights.
They are. They've really hit some good form at the moment. They put up a great performance against Wildcard last night. There was a close loss there of 5-7. So they can go up against Wildcard as well. And they're going to be ready for the Knights. I'm sure they would have been staying up late pracking and counter-voting on the Knights because obviously they just played last night. And yeah, it is definitely going to be a tough task for the Knights to be able to get through here.
As we continue to move forward here, map vetoes, map predictions. One of the maps you actually brought off air just prior that was a bit of a wild card last night was like the use of theme park. Typically, Okami has been a team known to ban out theme park when they in the regular season 4 times. Do you suspect they're going to want to take out some of these wacky maps that maybe weren't played too much throughout the regular season, try and keep it a bit more close to home, the cafes, the clubhouses, for instance?
Yeah, it's funny. As we talked about that, I started thinking about it more, and I think it's still going to play head games tonight because, like you said, Okami do usually ban theme park. In fact, they didn't play it at all during the regular season. But that's also the case with Border, which is another strong map of the Knights. You've only got one ban before the picks, so they have to decide theme park or Border. Either way, the Knights are comfortable on both of those maps. It creates a really difficult scenario for Okami in this map veto.
And of course, the other thing that you got to remember as well is going to be that third map, the decider map, since it is a best of 3 rather than a best of 2 like we had in the regular season. I'm expecting Consulate to be banned out by Pittsburgh. That could maybe change, but if a Consulate theme park ban comes out, then it kind of says they maybe will stick to the script that was the regular season, and it's going to be Consulate, that's 1, but Border banned out by Okami.
Yeah, I guess they just decided that's the biggest evil of them compared Border and Theme Park. Maybe they have been working on Theme Park and just waiting for the right time to bring it out. And of course, no better time than to get yourself into the grand final. So maybe that is what it is. We'll see whether the Knights do end up choosing Theme Park. Maybe Okami themselves will choose it.
Yeah, I mean, or we could just go Cafe Clubhouse. These two teams, I think, actually for both those maps are their most played maps through the regular season. So you're right. Maybe we do see something wacky, and we do, in fact, get both maps caught left of field. Theme Park picked by Pittsburgh Knights, and then Villa from Okami. So neither team wanting to go for comfort maps, more so picking something that might just throw the other team off potentially.
Yeah, and wow, I really hope Okami watched the VOD from yesterday because it's the only available footage of the Knights playing it. Not much around, so that is going to create a very difficult first map there for Okami, I'd have to say. And Villa as well. I don't think the Knights are even terrible at that. I'm just going to quickly double check. They played it once and they lost it, but it was close. It was to Wildcard, and that was a 5-7, which is the result we saw from Okami against Wildcard last night. So, I mean, based purely on that, maybe going into map 2, they're a little closer in terms of the competitiveness on Villa.
Well, put it this way, Raven, though, right? Both teams haven't won on either Villa or Theme Park in the regular season of Six Masters, which means, like, you're picking maps you haven't actually gotten a win on, at least in recent times in Six Masters. But the same can be said then, I guess, for your opponent. So this very much feels like we're both going to neutral territory.
It does. I think this really opens up this series. This veto feels like it just created a really level playing field, and it's going to come down to really who steps up. You could almost see this go a 2-0, but if we see the distance, that's when the cafe is going to come in, Xenox.
Yeah, the cafe does come out into the end. That's the most played map for both teams. Clubhouse did get banned out by Pittsburgh. And look, the ban from like I would have been expecting Clubhouse +1 kind of neutral map, and then cafe is the decider. So kind of almost got there in the end, a little bit more towards the neutral, which, as you said, really does open up this series now, because both sides haven't really got a whole lot of proficiency on either of their map picks. So when we say, like, oh, you know, this is Pittsburgh's map pick, like, for their sake, hopefully they got something up their sleeve, and the same can then be said for Okami going over to Villa.
Absolutely. And I'm just looking back at the last time these guys played in the regular season. It was back at the start of June, so almost exactly a month ago. It was a 6-8 loss for the Knights on Clubhouse, and then they also lost 4-7 on Cafe. So Okami have had a strong victory against the Knights on Cafe. Maybe if we get to map 3, that's where they're feeling that strength is going to be. But regardless, this veto has got me very excited, Xenox, because I feel like it's really just made it two teams that are going to be just battling it out, and it's made it so much harder to predict as well.
No, it really has. And like, I like that you brought up the last 2 times that these teams played each other, both on Cafe and Clubhouse. I didn't actually even look at that statistic the whole time. I'm sitting there saying it might be Cafe and Clubhouse. It's just like literally these 2 teams play those maps the most. And if you had have gone to Cafe and Clubhouse, both teams would have been very, very familiar with those maps. And now we've got the opposite effect here. And as you said, opens up this series. In terms of my predictions now for this series, I got no idea. Out the window, really. I would have favored Okami coming into this, but now with the maps that we're going to, if Knights can get off to a really, really good start, I almost might just back whoever wins Theme Park.
Yeah, look, I'd almost be in that camp as well, because there's a lot of things that are also at play, because mindset is a big deal, of course. And when talking about mindset, I feel like going into this matchup, it's more Okami that's going to be feeling that pressure. They have high expectations of themselves to be able to make it to the grand final, as well as fans expecting them to potentially make it through here. And Center's their coach in their interview last night, he was very confident about the fact that they would 2-0 whoever they play today to make it to the grand final. I think that's just going to build up their pressure going into this.
Well, let's hear what you guys at home think this series is going to play out with the poll vote, of course. And, well, you're split, we're split, we're all bloody split. No one's got a clue what's going to happen here. 3-47, and very indicative of how we think the series is going to go. That would have been done before the map veto as well, Raven. So I think even that just even further solidifies how 50-50 this series really is going to be.
Yeah, it beautifully portrays exactly how this series is. You know, they're both very even teams, I think, coming into this. Okami maybe with the slight edge, given their positioning out of the regular season and just their reputation. But, oh man, that veto has changed things completely. I know we keep saying it, but it's going to make it really tough. Theme Park is going to be a very spicy match, because if the Knights come out and stomp Okami, that's really going to put the mindset onus further into Okami's camp coming into map 2.
Well, we are about to start what is surely going to be a cracking lower bracket final between the Pittsburgh Knights and Okami. Theme Park may not be the deciding match for this matchup since it's our first one, but it's certainly going to be an important map.
It really is. And the Knights did play it last night. Of course, it was map 2, and they beat Sinister on this quite strongly there at 7-3. So they really have got a good case for why this should be their pick, on top of the fact that Okami have not played this map at all in the regular season of Six Masters. We have no idea what Okami might have on this. It could be something that they're uncomfortable on. Maybe they've been saving it up their sleeve, though, and the Knights have fallen into a trap.
Yeah, but at the same time, you can also look at it and say maybe the Okami Knights are both at the exact same similarities in terms of both of these maps, especially Theme Park, for instance, right? When neither team has actually won on either of these two maps, Theme Park and Villa, it really goes to show that, you know, they've either got these secret strats or they're both just kind of winging it.
Yep, that's a good point too. Something that's telling me that the Knights have really prepared for this. This Dokkaebi ban is something that Okami has leaned on a lot throughout the end of the Six Masters regular season, but also in playoffs. We've seen Jack Daddy in particular play a lot of the Dokkaebi. So they've banned that out. It's not something that Okami will be able to crutch on with the attacks on Theme Park, which can already be a bit tricky. So that's a great target ban there from the Knights. And then we're going to see some pretty good bans on the defense side as well, with the Pulse coming out. There's also something that the Knights use a lot of to get their info and really helpful on Theme Park. So this has definitely made this map even more interesting now, the way that those bans have played out.
Oh, as we head to Theme Park, we kind of just breathe a little bit and get ready for what's going to be potentially a long series, because really I've got sort of 3 maps on my mind here, right? I think this is going to go the distance. We probably head to Cafe as the decider. But by saying that, do you sort of go back to what I said before? Whoever wins this map in particular has a much stronger chance, of course, of getting 2, right? But the chance of them winning the entire series, it's a strange one, because really it's not like we look at this and say this is Pittsburgh's pick. Like, it's their map. Like, they must win this map. Like, it's 50-50. Whoever wins this then goes into Villa, another 50-50.
Yeah, I don't think there's any standout strength between either of these teams' map picks. The only way that I would say this maybe leans in favor of the Knights is because the fact that Okami just haven't played it yet. And that could be that they don't like it. I know they did ban it quite a bit during the regular season, but you don't know, because coming into playoffs, there was a break. Okami might have said, you know what, let's prac Theme Park. Let's be ready for it to be a pocket pick, and we'll surprise some people. And that could throw the Knights off. And the mindset game coming out of map 1 is going to be big, because if the Knights lose this, they've lost their map pick. Maybe that puts a lot of pressure back onto them. But the converse can be said for Okami as well.
No, I agree. I think you're basically sort of just insinuating really for Knights. It is your map pick at the end of the day. You elected to go here, right? So you put sort of the pressure on them to maybe win this map.
For sure. And it can be a little bit tilting, you know, if they've got this strategy and they're like, you know what, Okami's not played this before. We back ourselves on this. We're going to take the first map and give ourselves the best chance. And then if Okami just come out and dumpster them, that can really play a lot of big mind games.
For sure. And then that's what I'm saying, though. Then you go over to Villa. If you're down 1-0, you've lost your map pick. You've tried to take it to neutral territory. It didn't work. And then you're going over to Okami's Villa pick. That's going to be demoralizing. I very much think we are going to have a 3-map series here. But if Okami can take Theme Park, the likelihood that they 2-0 this becomes exponentially increased.
I agree with that. And a great entry for the Knights, starting strong. Hayward takes out Cutie. And Mangoes has been tagged quite heavily as well in that first minute. Starting with some good confidence on the Knights on Theme Park attack, which can be tricky at the best of times. This is really good progress, getting this vertical control already. The site being thrown, Armory, you do want to get that vertical pressure, particularly in office. Try and open up some of those holes. Mangoes is playing in a position that you would generally be trying to clear out from above. Okami have not quite abandoned it, though. Jack Daddy will answer to make it a 4 versus 4.
Up close and personal for Jack Dad. Finds a second one onto Strider. That's going to be the diffuser down as well. Expecting a refrag push. Throws out the pre-placed C4, but it's just Dino through the wall. Jack Dad holds in the showers. And unfortunately doesn't make it much further out of there. That means that Hayward can go and claim the diffuser back up. Still 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining. So plenty of time. 3v3. Next Caro's placed, but not going to be detonated anymore.
The hard breacher off the board as well. So even if they do get this vertical pressure and clear the mute jammer on that yellow stairs wall, they're not going to get it open. So that's pretty important here. Hayward's been down by another player they haven't kept track of. Knights are going to have to be careful. He's finished off, in fact. So Okami have stepped it up here, and the Knights are on the back foot.
Okami doing well of just keeping pressure up on that second floor, finding a few frags on the Knights after they opened it up with the opening frag to Hayward. Mangoes is low, though, but so is Dino running down these yellow stairs. making a last-ditch effort here. Josh will drone out. They both will for the last 20 seconds here. It's certainly going to be a sort of spray and pray hope towards the end, but as Josh goes down immediately, that should just about do it. No time, no chance for Dino, and it's going to be an opening round win for Okami on the defense side.
And up really sitting in strong there, and some really good positioning on site. That crossfire meant that that entry into site was never really going to be that successful in the end. I really say a bad judgment call maybe from Strider or some misdroning upstairs there with Jack Daddy. Losing that Habana was very detrimental for a lot of reasons. One is the man deficit, but also not being able to open any of those reinforced walls. It really cost them, and they just need to be a little bit more thorough and a little bit more careful.
It's also the credit to Okami for not playing like an entire turtle strat sitting on that first floor. They had a few roamers up top, were able to find a couple of refrags. Even though Knights got the opening frag, Okami did well to sort of position and be aggressive, not allowing Knights to get all that vertical control free. And in the end, they were able to actually find some frags themselves. So by putting that pressure on, you're able to then put yourself in a position where you can get those kills, make it difficult for Knights. They turned a tough situation into a winning situation based off their own play.
Absolutely. So the Knights are going to have to be ready to take it up to Okami and adapt here, because that was a really good display from Okami in the end on this defense. The Knights are going to have just a tough time in general in the first half here, because they are an attack. In ANZ, we have seen that generally be the struggle half that teams will have on Theme Park. Defense has been more of the lean on, and the Knights are going to have to probably stay in touch with 2 or 3 rounds here. I'd say that would be a bit of a dub for them if they manage to get a couple. And then we'll see what they can pull out for their defenses.
2-4 is probably the par course, you'd say, here on Theme Park for an attack.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Yep. 3-3 would be quite the victory there, I'd say, for the Knights in the first half on attack. See how they go with this entry. Hayward had a great start last time, getting the 2 opening picks there, but it never really went anywhere else from that stage on. Let's see if they can get something else happening outside of that entry phase. That's going to be important for them to be able to close out rounds.
Oh, this is going to come back to us for a bit due to a rehost, but going back to the question I posed to you, though, 3-3 would be great on the attack,
Yep.
but 2-4 is probably, as I said, par for the course for the attacking side here for Knights, I think, especially considering Okami already showing that they are pretty much ready to play here on Theme Park. They're not going to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing, clearly, which is great. I reckon they have been working on this just a little bit in the background and waiting for it to come out, whether they chose it or another team. Clearly, by them letting it through in the veto, they were much more comfortable on this than Border. So already that maybe is a warning signal for the Knights. But they played quite well on it last night against Sinister, who is a team that's played Theme Park previously. So I have faith that the Knights can step it up, and this might be a real tight contest on this map, especially now how Okami has started out of the gates.
Yeah, last night on Theme Park, Pittsburgh Knights only allowed 3-round wins to Sinister. All of that was actually on Sinister's defense, so they got nothing on attack, really sort of highlighting what you said before. Attacking is going to be difficult. So if somehow Knights can find 2 attacking round wins, then get the job done on their own defense, really shut out Okami, then they can make that comeback. So this first few rounds aren't really going to necessarily dictate how this map in particular is going to go, let alone the series.
Yeah, I think it's really just about what the round difference is at the end of that first half. So going back to what we were saying before, if the Knights do manage to get a couple, stay in touch, I think we've got a pretty good game on our hands going into that second half. And we'll put a lot of pressure onto Okami to perform in their attacks, because that's what we failed to see Sinister do last night. They just couldn't get any of those attacks closed out. Some of them were okay for Sinister, but the Knights were just always there to close it out, and they didn't let any slip through.
And that was, of course, off the back of a loss as well on Clubhouse. Knights would have been feeling a bit of the pressure, so it clearly felt comfortable on Theme Park. And you kind of coined it a bit earlier before, but this could end up being a slip-up for Okami. Fortunately, they've started well, and like you said, maybe have been practicing it in the background, ready to go and surprise potentially a team. Like the trap, like you said earlier, potentially trapping Knights into picking this.
Yep, and look, that could develop exactly like that. And as we were saying coming into the show, This first map is really going to be important for a lot of different reasons, but a big one is just all about the mentality. The Knights have proven that they actually are a great mindset team. A perfect example of that is, like you said, they lost map 1 last night on Clubhouse. That was a nail biter, but they really came out of the gates in map 2, and then they just smacked on map 3. So that proved that they have that mindset and they're not fatigued by some of the tiltedness or the stresses of the game. Okami, on the other hand, can be a little bit 50-50 with that. We know that Ipisal in interviews before has said that their mindset has affected them in map 2s in particular. So that's where it's really important for them to make sure they do well on this first map.
Yeah, it's always stressful, especially more so in an elimination game like this, right? When we look back at yesterday, Okami and Wildcard, the difference for Okami when they're down 1-0 is that they know they're not going to be dumped out of the tournament. They're just going to go down to the lower bracket. Not only that, but it's not much of a shame in losing the Wildcard, for instance. But if you go 1-0 down early to Pittsburgh Knights, and then knowing that if you lose one more map, you're going to be dumped out of 6 Masters, that can be quite stressful conditions to play under for Okami. The other thing I want to sort of just put to you here while we've got a little bit of time, and this was something I was thinking of earlier, but looking just slightly forward, in the hypothetical world here in terms of who wins this series, which do you think is better? Running the gauntlet, having the momentum that Pittsburgh have got, or the fact that Okami have already had a square up with Wildcard, they'll get a second go? Would you rather have already had one crack at them or take all this winning momentum into the final?
Probably momentum, to be honest, because you can always prepare for a team as much as you want, but if you don't show up in time in a match, or you don't show up at all in a match, then it doesn't matter how much prep you've done, it just falls by the wayside. But if you can come into it just feeling momentum, I feel like you're more likely to be playing your game, playing into your strengths, communicating more efficiently. I think there's a lot more positives from that than being able to just get that insight. So yeah, I think momentum is a really big deal that's going to be going into that grand final.
In saying that, of course, Knights did play wildcard in the opening semi-final. They did get 7-0'd in on Clubhouse. I probably didn't gain too much from that, but it was a lot closer on Cafe 8-7. So, but been a while since then now, especially for Knights and everything they've been able to achieve, taking out Sinister, now coming here against Okami. But they're going to be up for a task, as we've seen. Only one round in so far onto Theme Park. For those who maybe have just joined us, it's 1-0 to Okami so far. It's hard to gauge too much, though, for one round. But the way they played it, denying some of that verticality that Pittsburgh were clearly wanting to get, especially for Armory, I thought they did a really good job of that, even after losing the opening frag to Hayward.
Yeah, and a lot of fluidity with their movement. I wasn't 100% sure whether Ipisar was just not droned over at the top of Dragon Stairs, or maybe he slipped up when there was all the business going on in office bathroom when Jack Daddy was picking off the Habana. But either way, I liked the fluidity from Okami on that. And I think that's just going to give a signal to the Knights that they need to be careful with their droning and the way that they're progressing through the map, because Okami are trying to take the fight to them as many touch points as possible. And the Knights will be punished for that. And that was a big deal, losing that Habana early Strider. It meant that a lot of their attack just fell apart.
Exactly. As we head back into game, we head to Bunk and Daycare as well for our second round. And just that little rehost, though, gives potentially Knights a bit of time to sort of just rejig things. It's only been one round. I don't know how much you'd probably want to change, Raven. But when you lose the first round, it's not really a bad thing to just have a bit of time to just maybe speak about things.
Yeah, in the heat of the moment, they might have been a little bit unsure of what exactly went wrong. So that did give them a chance to talk it over. Maybe it was a missed droning, so they can talk through how that happened, or maybe they didn't have a flank drone, which is what allowed Ipisal to get up and through Dragon Stairs. They can break that down with all that extra time. So I think that really would have benefited the Knights and been quite helpful for them coming into round 2.
And this for Okami, though, great start. Always want to win your opening round and always want to do well on defense, especially here on the theme park. They'll be aiming to continue this. And if 2-4 for Knights is sort of a par mark, Okami would probably be looking to try and shut out Knights entirely on their attack. I mean, this could be like a 5-1 would be massive for Okami.
5-1 would definitely be massive and also devastating on the other hand for the Knights, because it does put a lot of pressure into their defenses. And pressure is a really good talking point, because even though you can lean into your defense half, if you're down 5-1 going into the second half, that's a bit of scoreboard pressure. You look at that and you think, oh no, there's only 2 rounds that they need to get, which is pretty common on an attack half in Theme Park. They could take the map, you start to doubt yourself a little bit. And likewise, on the other hand, if the Knights manage to get at least 3 rounds here, Okami are going to start thinking to themselves, oh, now they're on defense and we're even.
Yep. And we saw what happened to Sinister as well when they got 3 rounds on defense and then got nothing on the attack, right? So if Knights can get 2 or 3 rounds on attack, it bodes well for their chances when they switch over to defense, can then look to shut out Okami themselves, especially since it is Knights' map pick. We head further deeper into this second round now, over towards Daycare and Punk. Diana will start to push in through Cash, and well, this is looking okay so far for Knights. They did find the opening frag in the first round. In fact, they had a pretty similar start. Decent, started to push in, but it was Akami's willingness to sort of push up to the fight, find some refrags, and be aggressive that ended up turning that round for them.
It was, but half the round has gone by now, Xenox. They've struggled to gain a massive foothold here. They're in the map. They've droned forward. Not even sure if they noticed the bullet holes. Didn't really get a signal from the drone that they did. And all that pre-fire is going to give it away at least. And a beautiful peek there from Dino. Nullifies Cutie's bullet holes. That is another good entry there from the Knights.
But again, immediate refrags and almost that similar nature to the first round. In fact, Cutie's been the opening death for both rounds now. And for both rounds, Knights have found that opening frag, but have not been able to capitalize. Quickly, Okami even it up, but now they have the advantage themselves. Style's low from here on out, only 48 seconds. And as we said, they didn't really make that much headway anyway towards the bomb site. And Style will get Juicy outside the window. And the Strider and Josh. And very similar so far to that first round. 2 versus 3, and not a lot of time. Knights with their back up against the wall.
Definitely doable though, because 2 of them are low HP. They seem aware of at least 2 positions here as well. Not sure what Strider's doing pulling out of that engagement. Thought he could have taken that one a bit better. He knows where both are now. He's pushing through towards the bunks. He's going to be walking into quite the crossfire though. He's going to have to try and get Plant down. And he's actually going to put his back right into the other player. As Okami taking round number 2.
Certainly clean from Okami right now. They haven't really put a foot wrong too often, and yet still they actually haven't found a single opening frag. So, I mean, it's hard to really gauge how this is shaping up right now, because Knights are finding these opening frags. They're not really doing a whole lot with it. And as you said earlier, taking their time, really clearing out, getting closer to the bomb sites as well. So it does feel like right now Knights have got a bit more to do. Okami are just happy to sit back and kind of enjoy the Knights just slipping up a bit right now on attack.
It feels like it's on the edge too, that the Knights really could grab a couple of rounds here. They just need to stabilize themselves in that mid round. They got through with that entry. Their droning looked good at the start of the round. They got the opening pick, but then it kind of fell apart. We saw a player rotate over to the cafe balcony and had no idea that Ipistyle was at the window. And that player was then by themselves as well. So that refrag was just not possible. So plays like that will really come against you in Theme Park and when you're attacking in general. It's just, that's the kind of tightening that the Knights are going to need to be able to take these rounds against Okami.
Great start from Ipistyle. 3 frags after 2 rounds. Not too much of a surprise. The star player for Okami. Typically, though, from Ipistyle, it's usually found more on the attack for Okami, where he's busting in and finding those opening frags. And it could be the difference maker here in Theme Park, where you only probably need a couple of rounds on attack. And if you just have a few where the entry frag is able to find 1 or 2, a quick double kill, and give you that massive advantage, that could be the spark, the burn Okami's chances. 2-0 start. Can they make it 3 and just put a bit of scoreboard pressure onto Knights?
See whether they can. Again, these drone placements are great, allowing them to get some pretty clean entries here at the start. No surprises coming out in that first phase at least. There's somebody playing around in Throne though, which they're going to be careful of. It's not commonly droned if you're clearing across this direction. That could catch them off guard. On top of that, the bomb site here. might catch them off guard. Not really commonly played is this first floor bomb site in Drug Lab. Whether the Knights can figure something out for this attack, there's a lot of pressure vertically as well that they may have to deal with.
Last time that Okami had to deal with vertical pressure, though, they dealt with it pretty nicely. One thing I'm just sort of keeping my eye out for here is who gets the opening frag again. Is it becoming a trend in favor of Knights that they do continue to keep finding these opening frags here on Theme Park? But yet they need to actually make it worthwhile this time around. Capitalize just that little bit more. Hayward spots one, just rotating through Throne Room. Doesn't actually land any damage on. Has the drone, so he's getting cleared ahead. Ping comes out, minute and a half. Knights making a bit of headway towards Lab.
Quite the linear push too. They haven't bothered to do any vertical clear or trying to obtain any vertical control, which is where Okami are playing. Opening up some great line of sights here into Druglet, so it looks like it's going to be this horizontal clear across. See if they can obtain control that way, but it's going to be tough. They're going to get flanked upon. There are a lot of angles in through arcades. They can't just stack up around here. They will have to be careful.
Minute remaining for round 3. Certainly be the quietest of the rounds so far here on Theme Park. Army very much sitting at the back of sight, waiting for Knights to push in. It's been their most turtle playstyle so far here on Theme Park thus far. Mango's getting lit up by Juicy, just needs to peek around into the showers and he can finish him off, find that opening frag, but Mango's will just hold here in the toilet. Well, the frag grenade should do the job. Nothing much he's going to be able to do to really counter that. Well done from Juicy to get the opening frag again for Knights. Hayward has been injured. That'll be a risky revive to go for, so the quick 4-4.
Missile on yellow stairs there. Got a nice little pick, and the frags are coming out for Okami again in this late stage. Knights are falling apart as they try to get to site. There's 2 of them remaining here. Oh, that's a nice pick on site, though. That's going to give them a chance. Diffuser not in their hands, though, so they're going to have to get these kills. One to find, and not going to be Okami again. The round, Xenox.
And Cutie just dropping down, helping out Jack Dad at the end. And as you said, again, another round going the way of Okami. 3-zip going into the 4th round. And they've just got all of the answers right now, especially towards the end of these rounds. Knights starting well in terms of kills, but then it's Okami that are just overwhelming them on the bomb site, especially.
Again, they feel like they're close enough. These attacks are going all right. This one was the slowest of all. You said that before. They really failed to have an impact outside of that final 30 seconds. But it still came down to a 2v2. It was a really close round, and it just feels like it's still on the edge of the Knights accessing some rounds. But they need to be able to get on top of it, because we're now halfway through this half. They haven't made an impact on that scoreboard.
And then you're going to be running out of chances and running out of time to make that impact, right? Like we're already halfway through this first half. And, well, for the most part, right, if we said that Knights need to go about 2-4, that's looking a bit shaky right now. So then it comes to that sort of 5-1 territory. That's going to be an amazing half for Okami. Of course, still a few more rounds to go. Who's to say Knights don't just turn it around here? Maybe try and even it up 3-3. That would be the best case scenario, obviously. But still, 2-4 on the board potentially for Knights, and that's really going to be their target now.
We're definitely going to have to step it up here, other Knights. See how they go. This entry, they've been consistent enough with the entry. Again, it's really that mid-round onwards that they haven't been able to get anything happening. Last time we saw them attack this, which was way back in round 1 before that rehost. Dino did get some entry picks, but they misdroned Jack Daddy in the bathroom, or just didn't wait patiently enough for a drone, as well as the fact that Ibistal got a flank on. So they will have to watch out for that this time, as it looks like the positioning is quite similar here from Okami.
Throne Armory was probably one of the more well-played rounds by Okami, in fact, so Knights will have their work cut out for them. Last time around, Strider wasn't even able to get the X-Kairos to detonate. And
Attackers have dropped the bomb to
just being up close and personal was Jack Dad Strider this time around. I don't actually know if he even got those X-Kairos off. May have been stopped prior.
It's another simple mistake from the Knights. I'm not sure how Strider felt so comfortable to be there and how they missed Jack Daddy's position. Really, really unfortunate for them. These are the things that are costing them these rounds. It's going to make it even tougher because they have lost their hard breacher on the side that's probably one of the more important to have your hard breacher alive for. And they've got half the round to try and deal with that. And Okami are going to be able to sit comfortably on site with these reinforced walls. And that's going to make it really tough for the Knights to gain an entry in to even think about planting.
There was at least 4 around the bomb sites from what I saw. Maybe one still roaming around upstairs potentially. And so far, this has gone very similar fashion. In fact, probably even worse for Knights to round 1. Because this time around, they didn't even at least get the opening frag. Okami, like round 1, have been able to shut up shop now and make this very impenetrable on this thrown armory. 40 seconds remaining. Knights falling by the wayside here so far in Theme Park. Their map pick. Of course, attacking is going to be difficult, Raven. We've said that. But so far, Okami haven't really put a foot wrong.
Yeah, Okami really have stepped it up, and that is dangerous for the Knights. Looks like this round is really not going to be going in their favor. Ippy has something to say about that. Dino is now in danger. And 5 versus 1. Looks like it's going to be all Okami.
15 seconds remaining.
He's looking for the quad. He's looking for 4. He's got like 8 kills right now. Does he make it 9? No, it's Joker who gets it. It's still a flawless round nonetheless for Okami. Their best round so far.
Yep, it's not looking too good for the Knights here. 2 rounds is what we said they need for the potential par, though, or the pass. That's still possible, but Okami just look like they're getting better and better as this map plays on right now. So if there's a time for the Knights to step it up and salvage this map, it's right now, because if they don't manage to get an attack round, they already have to force overtime in that instance. And that's putting a lot of pressure back onto them on their own map pick.
And truthfully, you feel like when Okami switch over to the attack, they very well should at least get 2 or so rounds themselves. All it'll probably take is just 1 round every now and then that Ippy finds that opening frag, maybe 2, opens things up for Okami. It's what we tend to see from them. And they can kind of just really sort of strangle the defense. So Knights definitely need to find something here. They can't get 6-0'd on their attack, just regardless of how difficult it is, Raven, especially when this is your map pick. You've got to be doing at least a 2-4, 1-5 at minimum. 6-0 would be disastrous.
That's never going to feel good, and it's going to make them start losing a bit of confidence in themselves, I'd say, regardless, because this is their map pick, and I'm pretty confident that coming into it, they would have felt that they had Okami's number, because Okami hadn't played it. They've been banned quite frequently in the regular season. And right now, Okami are just stepping up. They are taking that surprise. Maybe they have revealed the trap card, Xenox.
Well, maybe they've activated the trap card, like you said. But still, you mentioned they haven't really played it. Neither team has won this map in the regular season. They both played it, but no one's won it in the games that they've played it. And the same goes for Villa as well. That's why I brought it up, is that you haven't actually won on these maps, and yet you're picking these maps. It really is neutral territory. And right now, though, Okami looked like the team that's been putting in the work, was ready for it, was expecting Knights may feel comfortable on it. And it's really shown them up so far on the defensive side for Okami. Long way to go, though. Funny things have happened already alone in just the playoffs, so you can't really count out Knights just yet. All it takes is just that 1 round to just get them going.
100% agree with you there. Strange things have happened before, so I wouldn't be too surprised with a pretty epic comeback here. It's definitely possible, but right now, Okami are presenting the right form to be able to take the map. So it's on the Knights to be able to turn that around. Again, this bunk daycare push has been a little slow. Almost half the round gone. No big engagements happening. No HP taken off their opponents. And got to point out, they're clearing the roam still right now. They're trying to push these players back to side or frag them out, and they're actually losing the opening pick. Again, that's Cutie with a nice angle on the top of yellow stairs. Dino off the board.
And after losing the opening pick themselves for the first 3 rounds, now the last 2 rounds have gone the way of Okami. Strider evens up the numbers though 4-4. Finding his second frag of the map so far here into the 5th round. Up on top of Dragon Stairs. Knights, at the very least, are not playing at a disadvantage this round like they have the last 2 rounds or so. But only a minute remaining, not even 55 seconds by the time I even finish that sentence. They're not too far away from the site, but a lot of ground to sort of make up in such little time.
That it is. And they're going to start pushing through. Pre-fire's coming into initiation, but not hitting the mark. Very much aware there is a player there. In fact, there are 2. But there is a very accessible rotate onto site. And look who it is, Ippy style. Yet again, gets a nice peek out. Adds to his frag
9
count.
25 seconds. Can he find a 10th one here? Yes, he can, of course. Double kill for Ippy style. Everything's going the way of Okami right now, but he does get injured and then finished off through that soft wall. Nicely done from Strider and Hayward. There's the last 2 remaining now for Knights. Can they find a round win? Only 10 seconds to do so, but Joker and Mango's full health. They've got the bomb site covered from here, you think, as well. It's not going to be an easy ask for Hayward. Strider also just going to go put that diffuser onto the floor. Will it be successful? It won't be successful. Stopped at the last second by Mangoes. They ran out of time, even with the refrag. Because he stops the defuse, round win goes to Okami.
So close to the Knights. Actually thought maybe Hayward was going to be able to cover that in time, but that good mine he had to pull out, it just pushed him back in. He's clear of that defender by half a second, and that was enough to be able to get that stop. 5 rounds now for Okami, 5 in a row. Final round of the half. The Knights desperately need this one to be able to give them that chance to really forge a good comeback.
It's really difficult to sit here and say, well, even if it's 6-0, they can then on their own defense shut out Okami, because it's easier said than done. Even if it's been shown here on the theme park, yeah, it's okay, defender sided, but you still probably expect to get 1 or 2 rounds to go your way. Like, for instance, Raven, that last round in particular was a coin flip. It could have gone either way. We could have seen, you know, if Mangoes just dies that little bit earlier, or if Strider gets that plant down, if Strider gets that plant down prior to being taken out, then it's a 1v1 in a retake scenario. Like, Knights have had now, I think, I'd say about 2 rounds that were 50-50. Everything else has been shutouts to Okami, though.
10 seconds remaining.
Absolutely, and it's like we've said quite a bit, 2 rounds was really the par. So that may have been the 2 rounds that were theirs, and they slipped away. They did not secure them.
Are heading out to
Something that was happening to Sinister a bit as well, as they had some good starts, but they weren't able to lock out rounds. We'll come back to bite you. So let's see what the Knights can do here. Lab storage, they struggled a bit. They didn't get much of a presence upstairs, which I think really came back to bite them. Ippy style really played havoc around the yellow stairs in particular. So it's something they might decide to do this time. But right now, their entry is all coming down here on the east side. Might be looking at another linear push straight across the site.
Well, this is the sort of round now where Knights can just throw balls at the wall and see what sticks, right? Because this is their final attacking round. They're already down 0-5. They've got to get something to go here. Maybe play just that little bit more chaotic, sporadic, try and do something a bit different, push, be aggressive, maybe go for an early breach onto the site. Rather than sit back for 2 minutes and coming in at the last seconds, all funneling through a doorway, making it easy for Okami. Try something different. Jacked out on the vigil. Upstairs roaming around will be the difference maker here. If he finds an opening frag. Oh, the shot taking out the utility gets the pre-fire, which now gives away his position. He actually would have got that kill. That would have been a dead giveaway.
That was real close there, and Hayward got tagged pretty heavy in that engagement too, so he's going to have to be a bit wary moving forward. Something you were talking about the fact that they can try and play this a little bit more aggressive. I'm kind of surprised they're not already, because that really is how the Knights have played before. They play this somewhat bully-style attack, really confident, aggressive entries, but they usually carry that through much better in rounds. I wonder whether that's some nerves creeping up or them just letting Okami get in their heads. but it hasn't felt like a lot of their attacks have really been played on their terms or they're playing their style of play.
It was going to try and open up this wall again. Although Choker finds the opening frag onto Dino, makes life very, very difficult now for the Knights. It's been difficult attack on Theme Park. Now pushing in Hayward. This is a bit quicker than what we've seen, especially the last time we were on Lab. Nice push up from Hayward. I think at this point it's like, stuff it. Let's just push in, see if we can find some frags to get that plant down. This is a lot better. The aggressive play we expected to come out has finally taken place. Hayward peeks it, falls back, and then tries it again. Mango's going to be refragged. It's a 1 versus 4, and finally, Knights, the aggressive style, will be successful in their final attacking round.
And there it is. They just saw that opening and they sent it. And that's what they needed to be doing this whole time when they were getting those early advantages. Just backing themselves and playing their game. They were letting Okami just control the pace and control a lot of those rounds. And that's how we've seen a scoreline here at 5-1. But most importantly, with that, they've given themselves that extra gap in the door now to facilitate a comeback. They're on defense. 4 rounds and we're all tied.
A lot of it comes down to these first few rounds, though. If Okami can find an early attacking round win, get that match point already in their back pocket with then multitude of rounds remaining, it just puts that pressure into the back of the mind of Knights. But they can take that attacking win. They can breathe a sigh of relief. They're not having to deal with a 6-0 scenario. They can at least drop 1. But for the most part, you want to be, as you said, getting the first 4 rounds or so, making it 5-5 and putting the pressure then onto Okami. By that point, then you're only 2 more defensive rounds away yourself. So things can very much flip here, which is why I think we've both been very hesitant to call this a bit of a shutout. It's a bit of a strange one. It's 5-1, but we're very much leaving this door widely open for Knights to make a comeback here.
Yeah, it's hard to count it out without seeing how their defenses go. And that's essentially what happened last night with Sinister. That the first half, Sinister's defense half, it was a bit 50-50. It was obviously closer than this. But then the Knights just railed them on their defenses. And that could be what happens here for Okami. So yeah, definitely hesitant to call it just yet. But Okami are in a great spot to be able to close this out. It's only 1 round that they need to at least force overtime. But 2 rounds and they've got the map.
Intrigued to see how Okami is going to play this, though, from their own attacking. We saw a lot of slow-paced gameplay from Knights when maybe we were expecting them to pick up the pace a bit, especially when they were getting those opening frags. Okami, the Monty on Mangoes, can push forward, can get good ground position, try and clear out the second floor. Question is, though, then, do they go for that 20-second meta, or do they push in just that little bit earlier, especially if they're finding opening frags? Like, Knights in that last attacking round pushed in onto the bomb site with 50 seconds to go, a lot quicker than their usual attacking rounds.
Exactly, and Mango's being on this Montaigne, I'm a bit interested to see exactly how they're using it. I mean, I think the main purpose is to help them clear this top floor, because he can kind of just push through with his shield, face check it a bit. It means they don't have to worry as much about drones. And that's worked out pretty well. I mean, they've wasted just over a minute or used just over a minute to do so. And those defenders can't really contest that. So as you saw, Juicy's just going to drop back. And that does mean Okami have this vertical control. They only have 1 hard breacher though. So they're going to have to really decide which wall or which direction they want to push from. And they're going to have to stick with that.
And then they can get information as well. Juicy's been forced well and truly back now from this top floor. So, as you said, able to now get this vertical control, something that Knights struggled to achieve, especially then having a lot of time remaining. Still, minute and 10 seconds right now. Knights haven't panicked. They haven't really changed too much up. It's only really been Juicy on the move. It's only been Juicy that's been pressured. The X-Kairos are going to be successfully detonated, which was a bit tricky for Knights to achieve. So this is already a bit of a plus for Okami, but they've only got 50 seconds remaining.
Yeah, but that was a big impact though, because I think they were looking to maybe even use 3 of those X-Kairos to be able to let the Montaigne through, which is no longer the case. He has to go through a doorway now. That could really change the way that the Okami attack was playing out. They've got about 30 seconds here, and Ipistyle has found that opening pick. That's going to put them in a better position It's all up to the Knights now in these anchor spots to be able to deny this entry and deny this plant from Okami.
But when you got Ippy style, you can always find an entryway in. Hayward at least makes it even 4-4, but Jack Dad's going to hunt down Hayward, get that refrag. Took a little bit of time, but he got there in the end. 12 seconds remaining. Mangoes has got to make his way over to the bomb site now. Josh just holding. Back into the blue room. Mango's just forced back. This is still 4 versus 2. 3 now to 2 as well because Josh got Jack Dad. Can they get the diffuser down? Mango's finally getting a bit of space and time to get the plant down. Josh, last one left. No, he's gone as well. And Okami, one attacking round is all it took to get their first attacking round win.
And a bit of a misplay from Josh, I think. Maybe he could have tried to work that a bit better as the timer was hitting 0. Gives him that extra time to move around and try and find the non-planting player, which was obviously not going to be the Montaigne. But either way, like you said, Okami have already put their first attack on the board. So now it's 5 rounds consecutively that the Knights have to get to force overtime. They have to be perfect from this point on. And that is 100% not what we've seen from the Knights so far. It has not been a perfect map by far from them.
No, I mean, I think you're being a bit kind there. It's been a bit of a disaster map considering it's been their map pick and already giving up an attacking round. If Knights could have been able to defend, I'd say the first 3 rounds really, get it back to 5-4, it just would have been an open field, anyone's game at that point. But now this match point is going to be hanging over your head. And in essence, Raven, it's a bit as it's almost as if it had have been a 6-0 anyway in the first half, and Knights have only just now defended the first round. Like, that's essentially the storyline we can go with here. I would say this is even worse though, because Okami has already gotten an attacking round win and have shown the proficiency in doing that already. They only need 1 more, and with so many rounds sort of in their back pocket, I don't see now a way back for Knights. And how quickly the storyline can change. You know, it's 5-1. We're sitting there saying how Knights can easily come back in this game, and now at this point, I'm actually ready to count them out.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there because that throwing armory defense wasn't great. Okami did a great job pulling it apart and getting in off the back of some big picks from Ippy. I mean, look at him, 14-1-3. He's having a day right now. And it's something that the Knights just have not been able to manage. I don't see them being able to manage it for 5 rounds in a row. It's really going to take maybe 2 or 3 consecutively if I was to be convinced. But yeah, I'm really leaning in the camp of this is probably going to be Okami's map. We might be seeing whether the Knights can bring it back on Villa.
A bomb has been located.
Of course, Villa for Okami hasn't been easy going this season. Again, we sort of touched on the fact that it's a bit of a neutral map. Okami played it twice, lost it twice in the regular season, so they haven't actually found a win on Villa either. But so far shaping up that their first time here on Theme Park this season of 6 Masters is going to be a win. Knights would have to pull a rabbit out of the hat and make a massive comeback. That's not going to be the way to do it. Ippy Star finds Josh. You know, immediately Hayward was right there though to get the demonstration refrag.
Yeah, this is potentially a mess here. Oh, Dino finally gets that down in the bathroom, but the Monty right up in the face. Downs him with the shield, and oh, it's all up to Juicy now. Xenox is falling apart. It's a 1 versus 3, potentially 4 with Joker downed. And it looks like Plant is potentially going to come out in the cocaine room, but no, not just yet. Let's see what Juicy can muster up.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
Well, I don't think Juicy's going to be able to muster up anything at all. Joker's going to get the diffuser down. Doesn't even get time to do so. 7-1. It's a stomp. It is really dirty in the end for Okami, and that's a dirty hole as well in the wall. 7-1 on Theme Park, and their first win on Theme Park this season of 6 Masters.
Yep, pulled that one out of the back pocket, that's for sure. Was Pittsburgh Knights pick, and it has not worked out at all. As you said, it was in fact quite the failure. 7-1 is a terrible scoreline to look at. And it's one thing to say, all right, boys, it didn't work out. Let's go to the next map. But it was their pick. They would have been pretty confident going in. And it also got absolutely thrown in their face at a 7-1. That's a little bit demoralizing.
I think that's majorly demoralizing when it's your own map pick. And considering, you know, the way that Pittsburgh kind of, you know, dumped Sinister out yesterday, they would have been riding the high, the momentum coming into this series. It's your map pick first up, you know. Man, yeah, 7-1. I've got to say though, Raven, how different do you think this series might have been had Knights actually defended first and had a bit of time to defend? Do you think it changes really the result? I think all it does is probably just change the scoreline.
Yeah, I think it would have changed the scoreline, but the Okami proved that they actually were half decent at theme park, that's for sure. So I think it would have changed the scoreline a bit, but ultimately I think the result that would have happened still happened in that Okami got this map, and now they're going to be taking that 1-0 advantage coming into map 2.
Yeah, that certainly will. Map 2 is going to be on the other side of the break. It's Villa. Okami currently up 1-0.
Attackers have dropped the bomb. 5 seconds to go. Seconds left. Attackers bomb diffuser has been dropped. To go. 5 seconds to go. Attackers drop the diffuser. Bomb looks. Attackers bomb diffuser has been.
Please hold. Your call is very important to us. All operators are busy at this time.
Well, Okami ended up just ripping straight through the Pittsburgh Knights on Theme Park 7-1 in the end. Raven, it was a one-sided show as we've ever seen it.
It really was. The Knights just never really were able to secure rounds. They started some of their attacks all right, but then they flopped away. And Okami really flexed in those attacks. They just got 2 in a row to close out the map, and it was all done.
In the end, we kind of digested a little bit and said, well, maybe if the Knights had started on defense, it could have been a different scoreline. But we both believe the result would have been the same. Okami just played so well on Theme Park. They were in control, both defense and offense. Now, as we head to Villa, it is also going to be Okami's map pick as well. And you keep saying that you want Knights to wake up.
I do. I want the Knights to wake up because I felt like there were just some really big mistakes that they were making on those attacks in particular. So if they can wake up, Villa's not that bad for them. They can take it to Okami, and then maybe we will get to see the third map.
One of the things that might wake them up is the fast speeds of the NMVM SSDs, the official sponsor of 6 Masters. They are generously gifting 4 finalist teams their high-range performance NVMe SSDs. Big thank you to the team at Samsung Australia for doing so. Don't forget, you guys at home can receive $148 cash back when purchasing select Samsung SSDs from participating resellers. For more information, you can use the !SSD Twitch command in chat. So there you go for you guys at home. But look, yeah, Raven, they got to wake up. They got to turn things around going into Villa. The map pick for Okami. Knights certainly aren't going to be favorites. It backs up against the wall here. Otherwise, they are going to be our third place finishers for 6 Masters.
Yeah, and that's just going to be so disappointing for them if that's how it works out. Given how well they played against Sinister last night, for it to just crash and burn in such terrible fashion right now, I think that would be, bitterly disappointed. So I really feel like they are going to step it up on Villa here. They've shown time again that they can come back from some of these really poor maps and fight back in a strong success. So hopefully that is what we see.
Yeah, look, I'd like to see us go to 3 maps. I did say at the very beginning of the series during the pre-show, I was expecting us to go to all 3 maps in this matchup between Okami and Pittsburgh Knights. I don't think that's going to change my prediction too much. I still think Knights can definitely win Villa. They can do that. Will they, on the other hand? I don't know. After that performance on Theme Park, I'm kind of wanting to change my prediction. I don't want to go back on it though, Raven, but they're making it hard. I need to see them wake up a bit, like you said, and show us something at the very beginning here on Villa. Like, they're going to come out firing, I think.
Absolutely, they do. They've got to show Okami some strength of their own, because otherwise Okami are going to run away with their sheer confidence, because they just absolutely manhandled them on map 1. Okami are going to be beaming going into map 2, given that is their map pick as well. It's up to the Knights to destabilize that.
Of course, we've been saying all along how close this series is going to be, and well, unfortunately, map 1 wasn't that close. You guys at home also had the same thought as us with the poll vote, 53% to 47%. Right now, the only thing that is correct with that poll vote is the fact that it's got Okami winning it, because right now they are winning this series, but obviously looking at the percentages there, Raven, everyone at home thought it, and we thought it. This was going to be a lot closer. 7-1 on Theme Park maybe just changes the mind. I wouldn't mind seeing an updated poll vote. That'd be awesome to get everyone's thoughts now after that 7-1 on Theme Park.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be slightly more in favor of Okami, that's for sure. But look, I still believe that the Knights can bring this back. They've played well on Villa in the past. It's never been a particularly fruitful map for them, but they can play well on it. And Okami, it's not like they've excelled at Villa. It's not like it's an outstanding strong map for them. They've also had their struggles. They did all right against Wildcard on it, but at the end of the day, they haven't excelled at it. So there is an opening for the Knights. They just need to step up what they brought from map 1, because as we saw in the scoreline, it just was not good enough.
Well, I'm on the fence, and I'm not sure whether or not Pittsburgh's going to be able to get the job done on Villa. You thought as well we'd be going to 3 maps. Do you still think that? Do you think Knights are going to end up taking Villa here?
I don't know. I'm really feeling like Okami is probably going to run away with it. But I do just want to see how the Knights respond here. This is their opportunity to just write off what happened on map 1. If they come out strong, maybe they could surprise Okami, and then we could see it go to that 3rd map. but it's just about them waking up and starting out strong here so that Okami don't get too ahead in terms of momentum and just confidence.
What do you think is going to be the difference maker here going into Villa that maybe wasn't the case on Theme Park? You know, verticality was certainly a big thing on Theme Park, will be once again here on Villa as well. Akami's defense was impenetrable, but Knights, if they bring a bit more of that aggression that we saw in their only attacking round win, is that the difference maker here on Villa?
That's definitely one factor. I really didn't feel like they were playing their game as much as they needed to in those attacks on Theme Park. I think another factor, though, that isn't going to be the play on Villa is the surprise factor maybe worked against them in that first map. They only played Theme Park for the first time like publicly yesterday, and Okami hadn't. And so while they maybe thought they were catching Okami off guard, I think they caught themselves off guard, not exactly knowing what to be in for, whereas that's different with Villa. They can see VODs for Okami, it's clear what's happened. If they've prepared for this map, it probably does make it a bit more even in terms of that preparation.
Looking at the Villa results that Okami have suffered so far in the regular season, 5-7 loss to Sinister, 7-8 loss to LFO. So, I mean, not really stomps, right? Not really entirely one-sided results, especially a 7-8. And that was a long time ago. That was played a 3 for Okami. So while they had, and one of those they actually picked it. I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but they did pick it. So they've picked it once, played it twice, but both lost, you know, unfortunately. Whereas for Pittsburgh Knights, they banned it twice, they've lost it once, never picked it, so certainly not going to be as comfortable on it. Although, to be fair, that was the one time they played it was a 5-7 loss to Wildcard, right? So 5-7 loss to Wildcard's not that bad, especially on a map that you haven't really played much of.
And that's what that's the Okami Wildcard scoreline was on Villa as well, just yesterday, I believe. So I think it's possible. One thing that worries me is if we run it back more than 6 Masters, which may be a little outdated, but Okami did beat Fnatic on this map 7-3 at the end of Pro League Season 11, which wasn't too long ago. It was a couple of months, but it's still recent enough where that can be a bit worrying. You know that Okami can really pull out some strong stuff on Villa. I think a lot of this is going to come down to what Knights do we see playing on this second map.
Certainly saw a lot more Villa from Okami in the Pro League than we have in 6 Masters, and much better results as well for that. So I guess it does come down to sort of how far back do you want to go, Raven, really, and say, well, you know, they're very recent results, not great, but if you just go a little bit further, good results.
Yeah, and the thing that makes me usually hesitant to do that is roster changes, but Okami is one of the very few teams that haven't really done anything with their roster in between Pro League and 6 Masters. So that gives me a little bit of that, I guess you'd say, hope that those results still count, or faith that those results still count a bit. But things have changed within the game, things have changed within their opponents. It's hard to say. Again, I really just think Okami are going to come strong on Villa, no matter what. It's more about what wall do they come up against. Is it what they came up against on Theme Park, which they'll probably just step right over? Or are they going to be coming against some reinforcement where it's actually a tough fight for them?
And then obviously, if Knights can somehow get over the top of Okami on Villa, Cafe will then be our deciding match. At that point, if it does get to that point, I'm back to that 50-50 coin flip, right? So in a way, it's so difficult to predict who's going to win this series. A lot of it just comes down to now, how do Knights get started on Villa? Start slow, and I'd probably say that'll finish fast then. But for Okami, it's interesting. Do we know actually who's attacking or defending first yet? I don't know if we have that information.
I don't think so. I don't have it written down if we do. But regardless...
Okay, well, if you're Knights, though, right, they attacked first on Theme Park. A bit of debate. Some teams probably like attacking first because you can sort of just, you know, play your style. You can try and get the match on your terms. But at other times, I guess depending a bit more on the map, you might want to defend first. I think Theme Park's probably one of those maps where you'd probably rather defend first.
Yeah, I think I agree, because it's good to get momentum under your belt on a map like Theme Park. Villa is probably not as prone to things like that. Villa used to be that way, but more often than not lately, attacks have been doing a lot better, and it's a little bit more balanced in terms of how things play out. So even if the Knights do start on attack again on Villa, I think the lessons they've learnt from Theme Park, as long as they did learn them, they'll be able to bring through to Villa and start strong.
Start strong is exactly what Pittsburgh Knights need to do up against Okami. They're down 1-0 at the moment in the series after losing Theme Park. They need to turn it around, and they need to turn it around right now. Have fun, have fun. Good luck, but probably not good luck. Not too much good luck anyway, as it is. We go to the bear phase now, and well, this is back up against the wall time for Knights. For Okami, certainly a stress-free map for them. They've had technically the better results if we go back a little bit further. This is their map pick. Everything is shaping up for this to be an Okami, I don't know, 7-3.
Feels like it's probably going to be that scoreline. But again, I'm still a little hesitant. I just want to see how the Knights really start on this map, or how they play this map out. Because if they do wake up and they start playing a bit more of their game, we might see a good contest. And something that is going to help is that Jaeger ban. We talked a lot about Ipisal and his impact in that first map and in general. The last time Jaeger ban happened against Okami was done by Wildcard. That was the final play week of Six Masters, and boy oh boy did Wildcard absolutely body Okami.
To be fair to Okami, unfortunately for them, Knights is not Wildcard. That's a relief for them. But that's, well, to be fair though, also, if Okami do win this, then Wildcard's up next, right? So it'll be shortly relieved. Thinking about that though, if you're Okami, is there even a semblance that's kind of looking a bit beyond this? I know really the answer should be they've got all their focus on this right now, and that should be the answer. But in the back of your mind, knowing that Wildcards is up next, is there anything that you want to just keep hidden that maybe gives you an advantage up against Wildcard?
Yeah, that's a tough one to think about, because you will obviously have to think about whether you want to keep a map secret or hidden until the next series. And being a best of 5, it's hard to hide from most maps in that. You're going to be playing a lot of them. So probably not really. I think the mindset for Okami would just be, hey, let's focus on doing our best and just winning this. Potentially as quick as possible might be the mindset, so they get a bit of an extra break or a bit of extra time to think about attacking Wildcard or coming up against Wildcard. And then in terms of the maps, Wildcard has shown quite a lot, Okami has shown quite a lot now. I think the preparation is going to be somewhat even, other than the fact Wildcard will be watching this quite keenly right now and just taking notes on the Okami we're seeing today.
Well, things like Theme Park, for instance, right? Like whether or not that has been something they've had in the back pocket for a while, or if that's just a recent thing where they were going to be comfortable. Like in their heads the whole time, maybe they're sitting there like, hey, go and take us to Theme Park. We don't care. We're ready to go. That's come out sort of just one series early, maybe. That could have been something they took to Wildcard, for instance. Like, so there's that, but then there's also the fact that, as you mentioned, the quicker the matches end and these maps end is definitely going to be better for Okami, because it means they're showing less as well.
Absolutely. So maybe they will come out of the gate strong. I'm interested about the impact of this Jaeger ban. We did see Ipisal. He was the last operator locked in, and he also 6-picked. So that can show that maybe the comms are a bit, what do I play now? How do we fit it in? He would have 100% been looking that Jaeger otherwise. So that little bit of uncertainty can just change things up a little bit, can create enough destabilization to give you an early advantage. And speaking of early advantage, Cutie's been tagged really heavy with some pre-fires here. Almost Knights getting that opening kill.
Juicy on the line. Don't really sit too much outside of, say, maps like Coastline, for instance. You can kind of see the effectiveness for it here on Villa. A lot of moving around. If Juicy's able to catch anyone with the E1D. Has 2 more charges. Used one pretty early on, in fact. Like the 2-minute mark. Don't tend to see it used that early, I'd imagine.
Depends on the purpose of the line. You could use it to lock roamers or somebody that's trying to play in a very aggressive offsite position. Mangoes is actually going to open it up for Okami, but Dino trades back. And importantly, that is Ipisal off the board. So he's not going to be able to par his impact just yet. And it's not a bad start from the Knights here. They've obtained some good map control. The fact that Dino is here on main stairs with a minute to go is quite strong.
Those goo mines are still up though, even with Ippy Styles now absent. So even if he's not fragging out, those goo mines will still just buy a little time, be a bit of a pest, annoyance as Dino now makes his way up main stairs. 58 seconds, and the final EE1D charge will go out from Juicy. That's going to allow him to propel in to his left of this opened up wall. There is a target close by. In fact, for the most part, Okami is sitting on site here. So far, this is not bad from Knights. 4-4, a lot of tagged up members of Okami as well. Spray from Juicy, not ideal. Now his position's being given away. There's a player prone just near the pool table as well. The fact that Juicy hasn't found anyone's not ideal, but Dino does find 2, finds 3! A triple kill for Dino! Joker gets 1 back, but he's still got 3 more to deal with in 25 seconds. There's not a lot of time. This is much better from Knights, a lot more clean than their performance on Theme Park so far here in the first round of Villa.
They know exactly where Joker is with 15 seconds to go. Strider is going to start sticking to plant. Bullets come in the direction of Joker as he enters into Aviator. He's going to start progressing closer to that diffuser to try and start take these gunfights. But the Knights are playing great post-plant positions here. This C4 could be devastating though. Reaches over, gets Dino. He was the impact player. Now he's got 2 more to find with 30 seconds of the timer left.
Surely this doesn't fall away for Knights. This would be disastrous. A horrible, demoralizing start if they lose this round to Joker. Fakes it and then expects the push, and Knights will respond. Strider in style. Knights off the board early. They've heard the call, Raven. They've woken up.
In particular, Dino's woken up. He had a huge round for the Knights just then. I'm pretty sure it actually ended up being a 4K. He was on for the ace. So that's a good start. And it's like we were talking about, so important for them to start like that, just to stop the momentum and confidence from Okami. They would have been beaming coming into round 1, and that was quite strong from the Knights now.
I think you're right as well. I believe that Dino got a kill early on in the piece, but it was a triple kill in quick succession on the bomb site that really mattered the most. And that was the difference maker in favor of the Knights. They've woken up a bit here on Villa. Long way to go. Still time for Okami to shuffle the deck chairs a bit. Obviously now over to Staten Trophy on defense here on Villa. I'd say even for Okami, 3-3 is a fine defense. I don't think that would be too demoralizing. Villa's a lot more open to attack for comparison to Theme Park, for instance, Raven. So they don't need anything crazy like 4-2 or 5-1.
With you on that one. I think the most important thing is just more at the moment about either Okami pushing Knights further into their box, or the Knights getting out of that box. I think that is the real key about this first half. If the Knights can just stay toe-to-toe, it will give them that belief and some more confidence back in themselves after the absolute smacking we saw in Theme Park. And again, on the flip side of that, it just quells some of Okami's confidence and their momentum. It keeps things grounded, and that's where we'll see a great contest.
Knights are going to give it everything they've got. Want to send this one to Cafe, best of 3, of course. That would be the deciding map if you really just joined us. It was 7-1 to Okami on the first map of Theme Park. And another early EE1D charge is out from Juicy. Very similar to that first round. Allows Josh just to push in now onto this first floor through living. They start roaming around, being just below, can clear out a lot of these Valkyrie cameras as well from Ippy style. This is, again, another decent start from Knights. They look like they are more comfortable here on Villa, and it's not even their map pick.
And that was always the danger that I thought of with Okami choosing this as their map pick, is it's not like it's a terrible map for the Knights or a really big weakness of theirs. And on the flip side of that too, it's not like it's a bigger strength for Okami. So this is a bit of a risky map pick. It's hard to say exactly how that's going to play out. But right now, it's looking good for the Knights. Josh in particular, he had a really big map 3 last night, and that was very instrumental in Knights taking the series. So if he can also really step it up here and get some confidence, I think that is going to really be the danger card for Okami.
Minute 35 seconds remaining here for round 2. Okami just look a little bit on the back foot right now. C4 is not going to hit its mark. Juicy gets away, repels back up. Still has 2 charges of the E1D as well. They're not too far away from the bomb site. This is really good for Knights, and just around on the red stairs. It's a nice opening frag for Ippy style onto Hayward. It felt like Hayward should have been probably winning that 1v1 there on the stairs.
Yeah, he got the pre-fire on it as well, and they've just jumped straight through into a crossfire in the bathroom. Knights, they started well, but it's fallen apart. Just really sloppy here. And oh, that's an aggressive peek from Dino. He really is on fire. He's happy just to swing. Ipisal off the board now. Makes it a 3 versus 4.
Got him.
But,
What?
nope, not quite. In fact, missed completely.
Oh, the second he picked up those stairs, though, he had a shotgun with his name on it from Jack Dad. Well, it didn't. I don't think it missed completely. Did it? I thought it tagged him just a little bit at least, but it looked like it was going to connect a bit more than it really did, obviously, in the end. But the shotgun connects the rest of the way, and, well, Okami should tie things up 1-1 now. 27 seconds. Not a lot Strider is going to be able to achieve here in a 1 versus 3. Does have the diffuser, and he's close to the bomb site, but would take a miraculous approach to get the win here for Knights.
15 seconds to go.
Unfortunately for him, he's walking straight in towards a shotgun. There's a shotgun waiting for him around this corner. And there it is, right to the face. Okami get the next round. Bit better from them, and not as strong from the Knights, quite obviously.
Well, you say that, but I still thought the Knights started well. Hayward wins that 1v1 with Ipistar. That whole round could have gone in a different direction, even if Ipistar didn't last too much longer than that. But over to dining and kitchen, Knights certainly have woken up, I think, still, as they are definitely performing and playing better than they did on Theme Park. Even though they didn't win that round and it wasn't really that close, still started well, still showing good signs.
Definitely good signs. And on the topic of Hayward, he was one of the players that was missing for a lot of the series last night against Sinister. And he didn't play well on Theme Park either, so he really needs to be getting his head into this game. Missing gunfights like he did against Ipisal, like you said, that could have changed how that round played out. Just a simple engagement. But time for him to step it up, especially if he's going to be playing the role and the operator like an Ash.
Well, so far it's Dino who's got 90% of the kills for Knights in the first 2 rounds, 6 out of 7. Performing exceptionally well here on Villa so far. Of course, the 4K in the opening round proving to be the most vital point of that. As for Okami, though, pretty much a spread of kills and a spread of performances so far as a team. It hasn't been just the Epi-style show, dating back to Theme Park as well. He had some good opening frags, some good moments, but for the most part, it's been a team effort that has them in the lead in this series right now, 1-0, and all tied up on Villa 1-1.
Juicy onto the Blackbeard. I mean, we don't see that picked a whole lot in competitive play these days. Some teams will pull it out now and then, so we'll see whether that really does work out for the Knights. We'll help Juicy take some gunfights or hold flank, or hold angles. Going to try and push straight in towards Living Library there. There's a player there, that's the Mozzie, Ippy style. He's moving around all different kinds of operators. In fact, he's played 3 different operators now, given that his Comfort of Jaeger has been banned.
Jack Dad on the pulse. Was banned out on Theme Park, and he's still an exceptional operator here for Villa. Juicy now making his way in with the Blackbeard. As I said, don't see it too often. I know it's actually, it's definitely the first time I've seen it, Raven, for myself. So definitely a rare sight. As you said, we'll see how that one plays out for Knights. May end up being a difference maker. That shield can win you fights. Juicy does, in fact, get the opening frag on a Ippy style. Maybe just catching him off guard, not expecting him to just push through like that.
Yeah, he wasn't looking in that direction, so even shield or not, that was always going to be Juicy's gunfight to win. So this is a much better start from the Knights. They've still got half the round to go, and that's good map control to have just right adjacent to the kitchen. Really enable that push through China. Mangos has now trapped himself in that closet. He's going to get out of there before he is fully trapped. Drops down the hatch just in the nick of time too. Strider pushing at that window. And this is the Knights also obtaining vertical control. Josh gets another pick. It's looking good for them so far in this round.
Yeah, really good mix of control, but with a slight bit of pace as well. It's like controlled aggression from the Knights. Still a minute remaining. They found 2 picks. They're getting good verticality control, as you said. close to the site too. Joker's holding close by though. Shotgun could be the difference maker. Jack Dad's still on the pulse as well. Can change things quickly. So Knights are going to be careful. Unless they just slow their approach at the last second. Joker still has a C4 in hand as well. And imagine I think Jack Dad should as well. There's a C4 from Jack Dad, in fact, but it's not going to find the target, or is it? It does get, I think, the injure onto Strider. Joker holding up close, though. He has got immediate pressure right in front of him. 20 seconds time. Nice control from Joker. Gets juicy. Dino's down as well. Strider's brought back up. It's a 3 versus 3 with 15 seconds to go. And all of a sudden, time is running out for Knights. Okami has brought this one right back up close. Jack down immediately eliminated by Hayward. Strider finds a second one onto Mangoes and a 1 versus 2 now. Joker gets one more to go. No, face plants the wall. Knights win the round. I almost lost it at the last second, Raven, but in the end, they do complete it, and they do take a 2-1 lead.
That was a good shot from Strider through that gap too. That mute was almost at the reinforcement, and that would have spelled the end of the round. Knights do hang on. You're right, that really was close to slipping away. Good anchor spots, and well shot from Okami on site. But the Knights skip forward. They're up 2-1 in their attack half so far. It's a much better map from them compared to Theme Park. And they are taking it up to Okami. And that is what we need to see out of this first half to start to believe that maybe this contest is back on.
Well, I think the contest is back on already after what I've seen just after the first 3 rounds. The way Knights are playing, getting reward for their effort as well, and just puts the doubt into the minds of Okami. Scoreboard pressure is a real thing. Knights get 3 or so attacking rounds, and then Okami then know they have to do it themselves. Otherwise, we will be heading to Cafe. So it just puts that little bit of pressure back onto Okami. Still, for the most part, of course, Knights, you know, recall all the way back, Raven, is that they've had a free shot at these playoffs. Everything hit. They weren't supposed to be here. So everything is just a free go at it. It's all just a bonus. Everything from here is a bonus.
And that helps a lot coming into matches like this, to be able to stay stabilized with your mindset. Losing that first map, I feel like the Knights have been able to shrug that off pretty well. And that's something that they've generally been able to do in the past, in like the regular season, for example. Whereas Okami, they're riding massive expectations coming into this. Like I said, in the pre-show, Centus, their coach, said that they were the easy 2-0 whoever they faced today. And if that doesn't eventuate, even if they lose this map, you have to feel like that adds that pressure going into map 3. And that's going to be much more on the side of Okami than the Knights.
Definitely feels like the way that Six Masters playoffs is shaping up. It's kind of this battle for second right now between Okami and Knights. Wildcard's going to be the Goliath to try and take down. These two are the Davids. And they're going toe-to-toe for that honor. Ippy taking actually quite a brunt of the damage, even with the clash next to him for Mangoes. Throws out another goo mine. At the very least. And have that still on the field if Ippy does get taken out. Dino did take a lot of damage too, though, as well. 2 minutes remaining here, round 4. Knights have looked good. And if we had had Villa first up as our first map, we'd be thinking they could end up being the favorites then. Of course, we've had Theme Park play out, though. We know a bit more of the storyline. It's Knights that are up against it, that are responding well here in Villa.
And they're really trying to hard push this clash on the stairs, which I'm not sure is the play. It's burnt up so much time. Half the round, in fact. And most importantly, Dino is one shot, essentially. He's been the impact player for the Knights. And he is so low on HP, he's not going to be able to take comfortable or effective engagements.
Bomb located by attackers.
Josh up close, just trying to deal with this clash. They've committed to it. At this point, you can't really change their path. Hayward somehow gets upstairs, though. Takes out Ippy. Still not able to get Mangoes, though. Oh, Jack Dad, though, just falls in front of Clash as well. 3-4. Knights are coming out on top. This is paying dividends right now that they stuck with their game plan. While they haven't got Mangoes, they got those around him.
And how cinematic was that? Just watching Mangoes move back and seeing his teammates just all die in front of him. Not able to do much about it, but just retreat. Does get the Knights in a pretty good position. 3 versus 3 with just under 40 seconds to go. But 2 of the Knights are tagged up, whereas Okami, full HP. That's going to help them coming into these final engagements. Mangoes, though, he has a shield in his face. It's not as effective as his other two teammates.
Dino's got some gas in his face. Cutie gets that elimination. Now 2v2 those Mangoes finally. This is feeling like it's taken about 2 minutes, but he's finally gone. C4 into the gas. It's perfect from Joker. Hole in one onto Strider. Josh, half health, last one. Nice headshot onto Cutie, but immediately sat down as he went to come through the vault door, and that will be the round win for Okami. They tie it back up 2-2.
Oh, I thought Josh might have almost had that, but he just rode the momentum a bit too much, just trying to insta-swing through vault after clearing out Cutie. Ended up being his demise. Another really close round. This has been very tight, and scoreboard reflects that. It's 2-2.
One thing that didn't happen too much on Theme Park was Ippy style going down early on in rounds. So far already on Villa, he's been the opening death twice now, losing arguably your best player or thereabouts, and someone who makes typically a lot of impact plays. Is not ideal for Okami, yet they're sticking with the fat. It's 2-2. They're still doing well. And it just feels like if Ippy Star can start, roaming around, finding kills, being that aggressive player that he usually is, that could be the turning point that puts this series right back on the path for Okami.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
It's a great point. I mean, he's changing operators constantly. Now he's onto the dock. Clearly not finding comfort on anything. And as you said, he hasn't been able to get in the game. In fact, he's 1, 2, and 4, which for a player like him is showing that it's not really working out well. So it's a great ban from the Knights. I feel like that's worked. But what is the unfortunate side effect of that is most teams will ban the clash against Okami on Villa. And you see why now after that previous round. What a pain to deal with. It took a long time. Knights ended up coping with it okay, but I think it really just derailed a lot of that early round progress that they were looking for.
Definitely bought a lot of time, and even if in the end, like with about a minute to go, they still found the kills onto Jack Dad, Ippy Style, they hadn't quite got Mangoes. It does feel as if they had been able to get that clash off the board pushing forward as well, then it would have been like a 3 or 4 versus 2. Regardless, I think Knights would have been able to win the round, but Mangoes was able to stay alive just that little bit longer and continue to just make it difficult, make life difficult for Knights, even then onto the bomb site. So credit to Mangoes, the clash play works. They get it back to 2-2, round 5 now, and it's certainly a map. It's Knights trying to make this a series as well now.
Oh, Cutie though, that's a big C4 onto Juicy. That's the Blackbeard, and Cutie gets another onto Josh. This is a great start from Okami. A poor one from the Knights, maybe getting a little bit too confident, a little bit overzealous, pushing that hallway. Cutie also has a shield in his face, very comfortable. 2 big picks there. Juicy on the Blackbeard, and Josh, who was getting some big picks in the previous rounds.
Okami have had their fair share of opening frags here on Villa, but this feels like the first time out of the 4 or 5 rounds that we've played that they've got a significant advantage over Knights. Knights haven't been able to refrag at all. Cutie takes out Strider. He's got 3 now. All 3 members, and Dino is a whisper away from being eliminated. Cutie has to fall back. The Vulcan shield explodes. They went up main stairs now, looking down into the classical hall corridor. Dino with the diffuser in hand, but the round is surely lost from here. 2 versus 5. Dino with basically no health, and Hayward's also lost about 25%. Ippy Style gets 1 more. This could be a flawless round for Okami.
Yeah, it's a bit of a fail there from the Knights on that push. Not sure whether they just weren't able to get the drones through thanks to the mute jammer placements, or deciding to really push into the brunt of it. But either way, it clearly hasn't worked out. Hayward's going to completely rotate to the other side of the map. Potentially catch this castle off guard here on the Astro stairs, but no, Mango seems quite aware that someone's entered this side of the map, and he's going to hold this corner with that super shorty.
I think Mangoes is going to find his 5th kill of the game. Perfectly timed, flawless round for Okami. In the 5th round, 1 more to go for the half.
That was a good one from them. That was their best round by far on Villa, and on the other hand, the worst by Knights. I really felt like they just strangely pushed right into that trap. Cutie was in such a good spot with that shield. He could sit behind there all day and peek up and shoot out. Of course, he had that C4, which made an impact. Knights really needed to think about how they would clear that shield first before really trying to push it. The poor timing from them. They can clean this up, though, and they managed to get it to be a 3-3 half. They're still very much in this. Like we said, it's not as big of a deal, this whole attacker-defender tussle on Villa compared to Theme Park.
4-2, though, would be a really good half for Okami, and it would just put doubt into the minds of Pittsburgh. They can tie it up 3-3 at the half. I think both teams then would feel pretty happy. Certainly would be probably fair for both teams as well, 3-3, because Knights have played a lot better here on Villa. They've deserved a bit of success. To go down 4-2 would feel a little bit heartbreaking for them. You'd start to think the morale might dip a little bit, considering they would then have to now come back on Villa as well. Coming all the way back from a tough situation on Villa, having to win the map, then having to do it all again on Cafe. It is a long journey ahead of them. They can make sure that that journey doesn't be too long. They can just stick with Okami here, tie it up 3-3, switch halves.
Yeah, really important they do stay in touch there, because we talked about it a lot. Maintaining their momentum themselves or maintaining their own confidence, but also keeping it at bay on the side of Okami. If after all this, the Knights stepping it up a bit here on Villa, Okami managed to take a 4-2 half and go into their attacks with their own level of confidence, I think that could be very detrimental. So really important round right now for the Knights. They've got to get this one. Last time they attacked Kitchen Dining, they did get it. It was generally a good attack, but it was that round that almost fell apart right at the end there in that Dining.
It was sloppy towards the end, but a win's a win, really. It doesn't matter if it's sloppy or if it's clean, if it's a flawless round. You just take the round win as you can get them, especially with the way that Knights have been sort of playing so far today. Not as clean as they would like.
Pinch trying to come out here into this main hall. Mozzie right at the doorway. He's getting aggressive onto the Blackbeard. Shield saving Juicy right there. Tags up Ippistyle half HP. That meant that Juicy, in fact, didn't even lose an ounce of HP, even though bullets came in his direction. That's the benefit of Blackbeard. And he's still got another shield in the pocket. On top of that, they've cleared out Living and Library. They can take that map control. Again, adjacent to site. Joker, though, gets a nice C4 into Hayward. The Ash off the board, and 4 versus 4 now.
Bit of an up and down sort of round so far. Cute little jumping drone does get squashed like a bug, although Cutie also going to get squashed like a bug from Dino. And then the immediate refrag to come out from Ippistyle, who's just turning it on right now on Villa. Josh on the move through Memorial. Minute remaining left on the clock. This is not going to be as clean as it was last time on Kitchen Dining. Oh, spread through the walls pretty good. Is he going to be able to get the elimination? Not quite just yet. That will do it, though, from Josh onto Joker. 2-3 now in favor of Knights. Ippistyle and Jackdad have got their work cut out for them. It's a triple kill for Dino. Jackdad's in a 1v3 scenario here on Dining. Should be able to get at least down to a 1 versus 2, but that's all it will be. Knights win the round again on Kitchen Dining. They even up the half, 3-3.
Ended up being quite a good attack from the Knights there. Really looking at what Okami were doing and rotating around that to make it work. I loved the push straight in through Memorial. On top of that, it was very Knights-like. They identified it and they exploded onto it. Josh just went straight up through Secret Painting, in through the Black Cage in a Memorial, and he just went. And they took control of that Dining so fast that Okami, they struggled to rebound. And that's how the Knights got that man advantage so strongly. 3-3 half. I think that's a great sign for the Knights now as they move into their defenses.
Certainly agree with you. 3-3 is, I think it's still fine for both teams, but the fact is Knights kind of do feel like they've got a slightly higher upper hand advantage. Slightly at that, though, not massive. And, well, if Okami can find an attacking round early on, it may just be enough to at least a minimum send it to overtime later on. We may have ourselves like an 8-7 coming up here on Villa. did say in the pre-show that we were expecting a lot of 50-50 moments. We're expecting the maps as a whole to be quite 50-50, coin flip sort of series. And while Theme Park didn't play out that way, right now Villa certainly is shaping up to be how we predicted it to go.
He's producing quite the banger at the moment. See whether it continues. Talked also in the pre-show about past results, and I mentioned that Okami had a 7-3 victory against Fnatic towards the end of Pro League Season 11. You know what? If memory serves me right, I'm quite sure that was a 3-3 half on Okami defense, and as they went into their attacks, they just ran over the top of Fnatic. It's something that Fnatic weren't ready for, with some of the aggression that Okami brought. So I sure hope the Knights have watched that match back, because it feels like that could be a great lesson for this exact scenario.
You certainly don't want to just get too caught up in playing defense and allowing the attacking team to do as they please, get their style of play situated. You want to make sure that you're still on the front foot. You're still making life difficult for Okami, even though you've switched sides now. If you just sit back and let them come at you, they'll probably find kills, just as Cutie does onto Juicy right now. 2 minutes to go, a lot of time, and it's a 5v4 advantage to Okami.
That is not a great one to lose at the start. It's the smoke, obviously, with great late round utility. Losing that in the first minute is really a poor position to be in. So the Knights already on that back foot, giving Okami that successful entry. They're trying to bait out this peak. They seem very much aware somebody is in Master, but he's not going to buy it. And Dino's retaken 90, which is where Juicy was fragged out from. So this could be deadly if Okami have tabs on these positions.
And a half remaining. First attacking round for Okami. So far, so good. Long way to go, but as you said, a lot of that late game utility from the smoke no longer going to be available. C4 from Hayward, is it on point? No, not quite. Misses entirely, in fact. So even more utility for Knights has gone wasted here with little gained from it. Okami, yeah, like they're in the driver's seat here for this round 7 attack, for their first attack. But as I say that, Hayward, at the very least, equals up the disadvantage now 4-4. That loses in Cutie. Next, Kairos will go out for Mangoes. The push is going to come soon, at least within the next 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, you brought up the wasted utility as well. On top of the fact that it was just a wasted C4 in general, it's denial utility, which they lack severely with the smoke off the board. So that really could come back to haunt them, as Ippistyle is haunting them, getting a great pick, and Mangoes is getting the plant down. So Okami starting really strong with these attacks.
User has planned it 3 versus 2. Strider finds one. Can Josh find a second one? Yes, he can. Now it's down to a 2 versus 2. One behind the bar. Joker almost close to full health. Jack Dad gets Strider though. Big opportunity for Josh in a 1 versus 2. The intro onto Jack Dad is successful. Does he just go for the immediate defuse? Apparently he is. He's not even going to fake it. He will stick it. Never mind. Now he gets off of it. Expecting the push. Well played from Josh. The triple kill and the clutch saving round for Knights. And they'll get it to a 4-3 advantage. They win their first defense.
That's big from Josh, because not only is it, of course, just a simple, or not a simple, but a clutch, but the anti-momentum. Okami had such a good attack. They exploded through the site. They were getting that plant down with still significant time on the clock. But the retake was great from Josh in particular. Played it beautifully. And now the Knights are going to take the lead. They're up 4-3. So I think that is quite a significant effect that it can have on the way maybe this half might play out.
I really thought for a second he was going to stick it the entire way, Josh, knowing that he had the time to do so. Ended up, I think it was about 3-4 seconds left, gets off the diffuser. That's a big play, expecting to be sort of ran at, and was correct in his assumption. Just overall played that entire situation start to finish to perfection. Well played. Knights have shown up really well here on Villa, and it's just starting to feel like they deserve a sort of second chance over on Cafe as well to still potentially move on to the grand final. And if it does go to Cafe, Okami will no longer be in the driver's seat. They're up 1-0 at the moment, but is Villa going to slip away from them?
The Knights can keep this up, of course. What a great clutch it was, but pretty sloppy most of the round, to be honest, from the Knights, to even let it get to that situation. We'll need to tighten it up, and again, just be ready for that aggression from Okami. They are not afraid to accelerate in the mid-rounds that you see from a lot of teams happening in that final 30 seconds. Okami are a team that can pull it out with 60, 40 seconds to go, sometimes even earlier. You have to be on your toes, you have to be ready to take those gunfights and take good early engagements. That engagement could have really gone against the Knights there in Mudroom. No shots happening, but here it is. Cutie takes out Dino. Big player to lose early.
Cutie has been immense so far on Villa with opening frags. 3, in fact, so far around. 1 on their defense, now 2 on the attacking side for Okami. We'll see if they're able to actually capitalize on this, though, because in the previous round, Raven, they weren't able to make too much use of it. Knights ended up coming back, and when the going got tough, they were able to equal it up to 4-4 when it actually mattered. Like right now, it's a 5-4 advantage, but you can't really utilize that advantage right now.
Not right now. The Knights have all taken up a lot of positionings here on the south side as the main push from Okami is coming in that master bedroom direction. Isn't too difficult for the defense to be able to wait it out on. Well, that drone has heard that castle, and it's going to be spotted out in the end. It's going to make an effect. These defense positions can just be held. They don't have to get aggressive into master or bathroom. It's the onus is still on Okami to make a lot happen to be able to get this round in a position where they plant or frag it out for the win.
And of course, if Knights can get sort of a frag as Okami start to push in, it makes it 4-4, makes it pretty even at that point. Hayward was able to do so in the last round. Can he do so again defending Astro? He knows he's got 2 pushing in towards him. Sees the shots coming through the doorways, but he's expecting 1 to push through the window at the same time. Expecting them to want to push in together. So I think Hayward actually played that very well. Moves back, and it's a good position behind the desk, and it is successful. Hayward takes out Mangoes. He's got the diffuser stuck in that doorway. Knights should very well win the round off this now and potentially take a 5-3 advantage. Joker, Jack Dad, and Ippy Style have got a lot of work to do with not much time.
That motion sensor being a pain there for Ippy Style. So well played from Hayward. He's going to get picked from below, though. That's well played. And now there's 3 Okami players stacking up on Astro. It's up to the Knights to rotate and be getting ready to repel this.
19 seconds remaining. Pushing into Astro, just trying to pick up the diffuser. Jack Dad's now got it. 15 seconds left. Juicy prone, but immediately sat down by Ippy Style. Is now up to 2 kills in a row in quick succession. Ippy's just leading the way for Jack Dad to put that diffuser down. He starts the process now. Triple kill for Ippy Style, but Josh will shoot him. Will shut him down. 1 second left. 1v1. Josh has done clutch things already so far on Billy. Can he do it again? Jack Dad goes below. With the IQ, he can see exactly where he's going to be. Josh moves out of the way from the pistol, though. 33 seconds remaining. And it's a clutch again. Josh, triple kill. It's almost a repeat of what we saw before, Raven. Knights will go up 5-3. What an amazing round.
Amazing is a great way to say it, Xenox, because far out, Josh, that's 2 rounds in a row with a 3K clutch to disable the plant. Huge for the Knights. He is dragging them through the mud right now, and they have got themselves a good scoreboard advantage for the first time in the series. 5-3. Only a round away from at least forcing overtime.
3 round wins in a row. 2 rounds in a row, though, where Cutie found the opening frag and Josh was able to get a triple kill clutch disable save. It felt like Ippy Style was doing it all, though, for Okami towards the end of that round. Josh was able to shut him down and then moved forward, took out Jack Dad, and just incredible plays from both, I guess, you know, really Ippy Style and Josh for their respective teams.
I feel like, I'm sorry, Okami, but I feel like I conjured the man. I talked about in the first round, Josh having a huge map 3 that got Knights the series last night against Sinister. And here he is just absolutely stepping it up for the Knights. And they are looking pretty good right now. And that's a bit of a danger for Okami. And it's not like Okami have been playing terrible. That attack was pretty decent. Like you said, Ippy Style was really getting it done. But the Knights are making it happen in the end. And that means they've got this round advantage.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
If they can take this next round, they'll have match point as well, potentially sending us to Cafe. It's those 50-50 battles though, Raven, right? We actually bring it back to theme park. I brought it up and I said, well, to be fair to the Knights, I know it was 7-1, but there were a couple of rounds that just didn't quite go their way. Those 50-50 coin flips all went the way of Okami. It feels like now on Villa, it's the opposite effect. Now it's actually the Knights are winning these 50-50s. They're coming up in the clutch moments. It could very easily be 5-3 in favor of Okami, right? Just in terms of playstyle and the way these rounds are played out. And we'd be saying that the series is almost over, but because Knights were able to come up clutch, and specifically, it's Josh who's been able to come up clutch. They're up 5-3, and they're close to match point.
Time for Okami to answer back here and just stop some of that momentum, stunt the confidence that is now building in the Knights, and particularly Josh. I mean, you got to stop that man, because if he's still alive, always going to be a threat. And one thing that's going to be important for the Knights to continue this is to not be losing these opening picks, because even those last 2 rounds had the opening death, and they were big picks, losing the smoke in round 1 of this half, and losing Dino in particular in that previous round. It's all adding up to affect how it plays out.
In 50 seconds, do Okami just slow things down a little bit? Well, now they've got no choice. Hayward will get Cutie. And for the first time in this second half, it will be Knights who find the opening frag. May that, though, be sort of the curse that could be put upon them. Juicy being aggressive around the corner, and Trophy just falls back through the skylight. Knights just seem in control, but it's Ippy who answers back. 4-4.
Juicy just trying to make too much happen, trying to get a C4 down. I liked the thought process, but it was a bit too aggressive given that Okami already had map control in Astro. Hayward's going to think twice about going up that stairwell. Joker hitting a couple of shots onto the arms, but not a whole lot of HP taken off. With a minute to go, Okami have really good map control now. They've got this verticality they can use and abuse against the Knights. Start setting themselves up, and the Knights are going to have to start digging in deep. And whoa, that pulse has gone for a run in the wrong direction.
Strider. Yeah, that's a very aggressive positioning to be running out like that and then sort of just looking both ways. Credit, whenever you cross the road, look both ways. But in that case, Strider, you've got to probably be a little bit more certain with where you're going. And this round has just thoroughly slipped away from Knights. I said the opening frag is a curse, Raven. It's shaping up to be that way. 4-2. Okami are answering back the challenge.
Yeah, but I'm going to gas it up early. Josh is still alive, Xenox, so it's still not done. That's what Okami's got to do. And Hayward's got something else to say. Josh taken off, though. Does make it a 3 versus 1, all up to Hayward. Okami have some control. The timing there doesn't work out for Hayward. Plant starts going down. Mangoes, can he stick this, or can it be denied from above? He can't get the angle down. And that means it's going to be a post-plant situation.
He's got 40 seconds, though. Hayward, 1v3. Can he channel his inner Josh? Ask his teammate to send all of the energy that he's got. Goomine, that's not going to go through the little hole. Don't think it really would have done much anyway. He has no frag grenade. Trying to see what he can just fire from above, but it just takes a leap of faith. And unfortunately, Ippy was waiting for him to take such a leap, and Okami will get the round.
Great attack from Okami. The Knights just not able to get in control of that one at all. So it does make the scoreboard closer again. 4 versus 5 now on the round count. It's looking very tight here on map 2, and this really is going to be, well, of course it is it for the Knights. They have to get the map, otherwise they are out. And that would mean Okami through to the grand final. So less mistakes here for the Knights. They get to go back to Aviator at least, which they did win. But it was on a Josh clutch.
Feels like everything's been on a Josh clutch so far in this half. Almost has. Tell you what, had he been in Hayward's position, I probably would have been with you and backed him in there at a 1 versus 3. When he's alive, you just feel like anything can happen. Same can be said for someone like an Ippy though. He was still alive and he was still finding kills. 4-5. Okami have done well to just stem the tide here. You can tie it up 5-5, and the Knights, all that good work is sort of undone. And the penultimate round would then be upon us, where whoever wins then gets at least that match point a round early. Knights do from here, though. It's so far been a tricky one to sort of judge because the rounds they have won, Raven, have been sloppy and messy. They haven't been very clean with their defense so far.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse.
Absolutely right. Their defenses have not been clean. Look, like you said, they've won 2 rounds. And they were Josh clutches in this half. So it's not instilling a lot of confidence in them overall, but it's pulling them through. And they need one more to at least force overtime. That helps. And it's only 2 rounds to get the win, but Okami are right there with them. They're only a round behind at the moment. And their attacks have been looking pretty decent. So controlling this opening pick is the first hurdle, but they've got to stay strong in that mid-round.
Been located.
Akami's definitely looked the better of the two, even here on Villa, even though it's 4-5 to Knights. They just haven't really been able to win those close clutch scenarios. Had they been able to do so, we might be looking at like a 6-3 right now and saying we're almost going to get that 7-3 that we kind of predicted. That's not to be the case, though, and credit to Knights. They've certainly shown up, and they definitely woke up and heard the Raven call. But can they maybe put Okami to bed here on Villa as Jack Dad just sweeps around on the first floor, throwing out these mid-jammers?
Really not a whole lot of IQ had been played up until Okami's attack, which is a little bit surprising. IQ really has rotated into majority of attacking lineups. Not to be. Hayward's got this C4 prepped. He's going to yeet it out, and that's going to not hit the mark. It does a little bit of damage. No, actually, it does not. And in the end, Cutie just shoots him. So, not working out at all from Hayward.
Gonna lose anyone, though. I mean, the Velt going out early, not the end of the world. You'd rather keep Juicy up for as long as possible, have those gas canisters available for the late game. Joker propels in. Free fire. He's safe on the veranda. Still 1:03 left here in this round. Okami looking to tie it up 5-5.
Knights just need to dig deep. They can get a pick back. At least it'll be even, but regardless, with 50 seconds to go, Okami nipping at their heels both in this round, but also on the scoreboard. Wanting to maintain their advantage. Jippy Style poised in a great spot here towards Classical Hall, ready to push towards Bar. There's another player over there at 90. It seems to be a death position for the Knights. They need to stay away. Juicy down on site. Looking like it might be another Okami round with 30 seconds to go, Xenox.
Juicy was down. Now he's finished off. He's out for the count. 3 versus 3. Josh, of course, has got 2. Can he find the third, as he has been able to do so far a couple of times already in this half of the defensive Knights? No, he's not. Shut down by Joker. 2-1. It was 1-1 for a split second. Dino got Joker, but Jack Dad was there for the remonstration, and we are tied once again, 5-5.
Ended up being close, but again, just a bit sloppy from the Knights early. I just don't get Hayward's play there. The C4 was poorly placed, and then he just didn't get out in time. He got picked, and it just really felt like a waste. And they kept trying to retake 90 while there was a player repelled and all that intel available. That was really the detriment to them on that defense. Because in the end, like you said, it did go 1 versus 1 for that split second. It was close. Not to be.
Well, now it just kind of feels like it's slipping away from Knights because of the fact of the way they won their rounds. Keep sort of harping on it, but they weren't clean. They weren't exactly easy round wins. The way Okami are, like, in essence, when you really think about it, Raven, the 4 attacking rounds of Okami right now have been great. I know they didn't win the first 2, but they were still really good attacking rounds. Like, you kind of take those. Like, every now and then, yeah, someone like Josh is probably going to clutch up, get a 3K. All right, he did it 2 times in a row. But then you just keep putting the pressure on. Like, okay, we go again. We do it for the 3rd time. This time he doesn't clutch it. 4th time. This time he doesn't clutch it as well. Like, he's not going to be able to clutch a 1v3 every single round to save his team. So they don't have to alter what's working for them just because he clutched up the first 2 rounds.
Totally right. And the real damning stat with how these attacks have really panned out here is that 3 out of the 4 rounds, Okami have gotten the plant down. 2 of those were that clutch, and they got the plant down in round 9, which they did secure. But regardless, the fact that they're getting the plant down 3 out of the 4 of these attacks means they are just manhandling their entries or the mid-round to get them in those positions to be able to get it down in the first place. So that's pretty poor from the Knights. They need to dig a bit deeper. And again, I'm going to say it, they got to tighten up this first half of the round because they keep losing picks quite silly, just real sloppy plays.
Bomb located by attackers.
Of course, whoever's going to win this round will get match point. I feel like probably Knights need it more than Okami. Does have that feeling of a 7-5. Okami's kind of just running away with the attack. They've, like you said, when they played Fnatic, just really ran over the top of them with their attack. It's basically happening here. Minus the first 2 rounds, just not being able to get the actual round wins. Cutie has been immense on the opening frags. 3 out of the 4 in this half. In fact, and then of the 4th one, he was actually the opening death. So he's been involved in the openings in exchange for all 4 of the first kills.
It's another missed C4 from the Knights, really just expelling its utility. Little result can be very detrimental. They also don't have much for denial, so these C4s aren't just things you can throw away here. They do deny some of those ex-Kairos. They're denying more, so this means that there's no real entry through that wall, but there is a shot there from Mangoes. That's Josh off the board early for once. Importantly, the Maestro as well, such a great late round operator.
And Hayward's low as well. And for Knights, again, this is becoming a theme here in this second half. Okami are just running away with it. They were able to sort of stem the bleeding, but it's a bit like a damn wall that's now bursting open, and Okami are about to flood Knights, it seems. I think it's just clearing out Astro. Just feels like a matter of when rather than if. They're just playing that little bit better, that extra gear that Knights just haven't got to reach Okami. They're just not able to stop this onslaught of attack. 38 seconds though, and to be fair, Knights haven't panicked here. They have held their ground. They haven't really altered their positions. They're waiting for this push from Okami. They've got a couple of sight lines covered, so you should be able to, at the very least, make this a 4 versus 4 if Hayward can find one here.
Just this head teased around. They see the rotate. Hayward trying to play patient. Doesn't actually get a pick. Strider finds one though. Hayward is essentially surrounded, and the clock is gone down here to 10 seconds. This is going to be absolutely explosive as they go to side. Okami just run over the top of them though, Xanox, and that is another round in the books for Okami, putting them to match point.
I'll tell you what, if Wildcard's watching, I think it's time to go and hit the training mode, you know, the Kovacs, and get ready because match point, and I'd say this is about done, Raven. Knights have been valiant, especially considering that theme park was just abysmal, but Villa's been a lot better, but the damn wall has certainly burst.
Feels like it has. You're right. Okami have just been... Every single one of their attacks, Okami have attacked well. It's just that those 2 clutches make the scoreboard a little bit skewed. And time again, the Knights are just losing these picks early to things that feel really unnecessary. I mean, one little ex-Kairos hole. And look at it with 2 players trying to pick that, the Castle and the Maestro. Maestro was the one that died in the end, and that's probably the worst of the 2 to die. Hayward got tagged low, which meant he was, you know, hard-pressed to take an effect in an engagement after that. It really is just framing their rounds to be tough to win in the first place.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Only 1 opening frag in this second half. That was Hayward on Cutie, and they still lost around the Knights. It's been rough going. Match point now for Okami. They certainly feel like their tails are up. They've perked up. They themselves have sort of taken the challenge from Knights. They've taken it on the chin though. They've responded in style, and it's really been the Cutie and Ippy style show. Especially Cutie with these opening frags has been immense. Mangoes has been great. Jack Dad, and as usual, as is the case with Okami, very solid team overall. And that's, for me, something I've noticed from them coming from the regular season to the playoffs is they don't rely on Ippy to do everything. But if everyone's stepping up and Ippy's just doing his usual stuff, then they are a force.
It definitely helps when he's up and about. And we did see him struggling a bit on the defense, but ever since they've come to attack, it's definitely come into a comfort here. Playing a lot of Zofia. Some good approaches here from the attackers, and it's up to the Knights. They really just need to hold fast. They need to still be aggressive, and this is the thing, right? They need to still go up into the face of Okami, but just play it a little bit more selectively. And Hayward does not have much luck trying to get Goose through this little hole. Seen it a couple of times where it failed to go through.
It does feel like though sort of the dawn before the end here for Knights. But will they prove us wrong? Will they prove me wrong, Raven? And maybe they're not dead in the water yet. Maybe they've got one last lifeline that we haven't quite seen. Something they can at least send it to overtime, buy a little bit more time. It feels like that's what they need the most. And Strider will help with that calls, getting the opening frag onto Ippy. That's going to help an immense amount. A minute and a half as well. Not a lot of time for Okami to respond.
That's quite big too, because there's Will gassing up Ippy about the impact he's had on these attacks so far for Okami, and the sloppiness at the start of the rounds from Knights. So that is a perfect counter to that, essentially. Given that it's 2 minutes burned off, I don't feel like Okami have really obtained that much map control that helps them get towards site here.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Well, the advantage was short-lived with 1 minute remaining. 4 versus 4 situation. Jack Dad getting involved again, just sweeping around with that IQ now. At the top of red stairs is Joker, looking to push down. Mangoes just opens up his balcony door. With a bit of vertical control as well. Okami just starting to really gain control here in what could be the ultimate final round. Strider again. This time he takes out Mangoes. The opening frag, not just enough. He wants more. 30 seconds remaining in what is essentially the match point for Okami. The series point for Okami. And it could be the final point for Knights if they're not careful. Cutie gets a response. It's 3-2. Jack Dad up close and personal takes out Juicy. Is it all just falling at the wayside for Dino? Josh, the last two alive. The frag grenade, can he avoid the brunt of the damage? He can. Doesn't really take much. It's just a slight tickle. Joker, half health, but he deals with Josh. He deals with the hero. And Okami will deal with Knights in quick succession. 2-0 on Theme Park and Villa.
Now the Knights had that inch, but they just couldn't take it further. A great series in the end from Okami. A fantastic map too overall, but Okami proved too strong for the Knights, and they will get to progress to the grand final.
They will get a second crack at wildcard. Of course, they played yesterday. Wildcard relatively convincing 2-0, but it will be a best of 5 grand final. And for Okami, they will be able to take some winning form into that series as well. For the most part, relatively unscathed as well. 7-1, 7-5. They were able to brush aside the Pittsburgh Knights.
That they were, and we will get to see a exciting rematch between Okami and Wildcard. Last time we saw them play was very recently. It was last night. And look, that went 2-0 in favor of Wildcard. So given the form that Okami showed today, I think they played tremendously well against the Knights in that series on both maps. I think it's going to be a great grand final.
I definitely agree with you. I think obviously Okami are going to have a very, very tough ask because Wildcard's only dropped 1 map all season long, Raven. So we can't really beat around the bush here. But if anyone's going to be able to do it right now, the form that Okami are in, I'd like to, at the very least, see them take a map. At the very least, that would probably, if I was Okami, I'd be like, hey, look, we can win, we can back ourselves in, but at least let's just aim and try and get a map.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's a best of 5, so that's a different variable here. On top of that, Wildcard have the map advantage coming in from the upper bracket. So the odds are stacked against Okami, but I think a big factor is they just played. They've played themselves into some confidence, some momentum. They're warm in a very competitive way as opposed to just doing training grounds or playing a warm-up scrim. So that will factor into it. But regardless, I think Okami are bringing forward some great form.
We got our interviews ready to go already here after our lower bracket final. Centis will be our first interviewee. Congratulations. You're going to take on Wildcard once again. A bit of slow clap there, but mate, you're going to be pretty happy with the performance overall. Obviously, Pittsburgh kind of gave it their all there in the end on Villa, but you were able to weather the storm, come home strong on what was a very amazing attack.
Yeah, we did. I kind of maybe got some pee in my pants at the end, but it was it was definitely a close game, and yeah, it was. Oh, I'm so fucking happy that we finally broke the curse and we got top 2 at least, and now we can also beat Wildcard for that first place. But we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you're sweating it a bit in map 2 there, but I really want to ask you about map 1. Obviously, the Knights chose Theme Park, and we were wondering, we haven't really seen you play Theme Park, how that was going to pan out, and we saw that go 7-1. Tell us about that. Is it something you've been working on, or was that a surprise for you guys tonight?
Oh no, we actually planned to pick it ourselves, but they decided to pick it for us, so we got a freebie there. Yeah, we've been hiding that map for the entirety of the season. In the beginning, when I just joined, the guys were a little bit scared to play it. They just didn't like how it was playing out, especially attacking on it. But we got confident. We practiced it almost every week, multiple times. Got some really good strats in there, and then we knew exactly what Knights were doing on it. So it was genuinely just walk in, cut their angles off, shoot them, win the rounds, end.
You're going into the grand final. Obviously, you've already played wildcard in the upper bracket. You get a second crack at them. Is there any final? Like, I know you don't have to say what it is, but is there anything up your sleeve remaining that maybe we haven't seen yet from you guys that you want to bring for a team like wildcard, who have obviously, look, they've been amazing. They've only dropped one map all season.
Maybe not. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, we don't want to give anything away yet, but
No.
I'm sure it's gonna be a pretty amazing grand final, and we're really looking forward to this.
You've had an amazing season, regardless. Getting top 2, like you said, huge goal. Congratulations on that. Best of luck for the grand final, mate.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
Well, look, obviously he's not going to give strats away. I try every time, and they don't want to give anything away. But the reason why I brought that up, though, is we look at the theme park, right? Like, that was something that they had up their sleeve. They did bring it out early, whether that was something they ended up wanting to pick, you know. So I'm assuming now, if Wildcard were watching, they may look at that and say, maybe we don't give them theme park, but it's a best of 5, right? So that map pool's certainly going to open up.
Yeah, and that's a big thing there. It's best of 5, so you're playing potentially 5 maps, only 2 bans. We know what Wildcard's like with their bans. Border's going to be off the board, but it's pretty much the same story for Okami. I think Theme Park will come up one way or another, and now that Wildcard did get a chance to peek at it, at least they've got something to work with to try and counter, whereas before this series, there was obviously nothing. But yeah, look, regardless, I think Okami looking like they're bringing some big confidence going into that grand final.
Well, one of my favorite guys to chat to, Strider from Pittsburgh Knights, will join us for our final interview of the lower bracket final. Firstly, I just want to say congratulations, mate, on 3rd place, valiant effort, and a pretty good season overall, all things considered.
Yeah, we're even surprised. I mean, for the team that wasn't even supposed to make top 4, 3rd is more than what we can ask for. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it was a great map 2, but you had some clear struggles in map 1. Talk us through the series for you guys. Where did it go wrong with map 1, and what were you really facing in terms of the struggles?
Yeah, so I'd say the biggest problem was it was just small mistakes, but really costly ones. Like, obviously, you saw that first round, Jack Dad got misdroned in the bathroom, and then he won in the round, basically. And then there was Itby Style another round just flanking. And that was like the theme for the entirety of Theme Park, where we were just making small mistakes, and they were really capitalizing on it. I think we tightened it up a lot more on Villa, which is why we actually, put up a bit of a competition, though.
Yeah, just onto that Villa game. You know, at one point you were up 5-3. You were very, very close to getting to that match point. The rounds that you did win on your defense, though, Okami still looked pretty good on attack. Was that always in sort of the back of your mind that even though Josh was able to clutch those rounds, they were still getting away and sort of doing as they pleased?
Yeah, so it was definitely like us capitalizing on their small mistakes that was able to get us to 5-3. But we still felt as though even on the rounds that were close, we were doing everything right. So if we just, again, like tighten things up, like for like one example of that is on our attacking round, we had a black beat on 90 and Juicy was in two minds about whether he should push or whether he should hold. But because he wasn't confident in either decision, we just lost that. And that opened up the round for the Okami. But nothing towards Juicy negatively. I think it was good on Okami for really finding where our mistakes were today.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, you were here today, and as I said before, congratulations on finishing in the top 3. Wish you the best of luck going forward, and I know that you guys will build a lot off this performance.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we're really looking forward to playing as a core 5 again.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, mate. And Raven, that will do our interviews for the lower bracket final, and obviously the grand final coming up soon. Wildcard will be taking on Okami, which probably isn't too much of a surprise considering the way that Okami were able to deal with Sinister all the way back in semi-final number 1, that they would then sort of take the throne as that second best team remaining in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I really feel like it was always going to be a toss-up between Okami or Sinister to make it into that grand final against Wildcard. I would be hard-pressed to say anybody thought Wildcard would get knocked out before grand final. And here they are. It is Okami. And yeah, look, I think just given the form that we saw in that most recent series against the Knights, it's going to be quite a stellar performance. And I'm keen.
Well, before we quickly throw to a break, Raven, it's the end for us. So I just want your final thoughts quickly heading into the upper bracket final, or the grand final, I should say.
Yeah, I'm still backing Wildcard to take it, though. They've just looked way too good. They have a map advantage, so they only need to win 2 maps. Given the depth of their map pool that they have proven time and time again, even though Okami looked great in that series against Knights, I just think it's going to be too tough of a challenge for them against Wildcard.
Well, I will predict that Okami will get 1 map. I'd like to see it at least go to 3-1, but I do as well agree with you. Wildcard will be too good. That's going to be it for us, though. On the other side of the break, it will be the grand final, and it'll also be Gars and Dev Marta joining on the broadcast.
Drop the bomb. Attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped. To go. 5 seconds to go. Bomb located. Attacker dropped the diffuser. 5 seconds to go. 15 seconds remaining. Attacker's bomb diffuser. 5 seconds to go.
Please hold. Your call is very important to us. All operators are busy at this time.
Hello, contender. Welcome to the Hyperscape, our new fast-paced battle royale that brings verticality to the next level. In Hyperscape, up to 100 players will compete in a variety of game modes. Squad and Solo Crown Rush are the main modes where battle royale champions are crowned. Neo Arcadia is a virtual, shimmering city designed to encourage vertical mobility and fast-paced combat situations. From sky-high towers to deadly interiors, you will constantly need to adapt your fighting styles. Once the battle begins, your personalized deployment pod is your transport to the battle. You will be able to drop in any part of the map, so pick your drop spot wisely. Hit the ground running, because you'll start with only a melee weapon. Hotly contested landmarks are known to contain abundant caches of gear, but high risk brings the chance of high reward. Gear is found inside buildings, closed off by breakable barricades and inside supply crates located around the map. As you traverse the city, looking for gear and enemies, you'll discover the different environments create diverse gameplay opportunities and challenges. Your competition may come from any angle. Every battle in Hyperscape is a fresh experience where you leverage the varied arsenal you will find in Neo Arcadia. Your loadout is not determined by the character you choose, but by the weapons and hacks you loot. From full auto assault weapons to powerful energy blasters, there is a tool for any playstyle. Hacks are game-changing abilities you loot around the map that grant skills for offense, defense, and movement. You can loot 2 weapons and 2 hacks and swap them at any time if you need to change your strategy. The choice is in your hands. If you find a copy of a weapon or hack you already have in your possession, you can fuse it, creating an upgraded version. Each item can be upgraded several levels, improving magazine size, damage, or cooldown duration. As you discover your footing in the Hyperscape, your squad will be there to help you. Use the ping system to sync with your squad and warn them of potential threats or alert them to potential resources. If an enemy manages to take you out, the battle is not over. At 0 health, you'll become an echo and you can help your squad by scouting ahead. When enemies are eliminated, a restore point appears in that spot. Find a restore point and your squad mates can bring you back into the fight. As your game master, one of my favorite tasks is to keep things lively by triggering battle events, such as the infinite ammo event or the low gravity event. Viewers on Twitch help influence my choice and can vote on additional events, so remember to play the crowd. Keep an eye on your map, contender. As the match progresses, sectors will decay and collapse throughout Neo Arcadia. If you're too late reaching a safe area, you will take damage over time and may be exposed to enemy attacks. Those skilled enough will enter the showdown phase. The Hyperscape crown will spawn in the final remaining sector. From here, you have 2 different paths to victory. Become the sole survivors or hold onto the crown for 45 seconds. You are now prepared for the Hyperscape, contender. We here at Prisma Dimensions hope you enjoy your stay.